nice because most of the time when you see Dr. Blair on tapes and you see him live, he's talking about something that's very esoteric and kind of out there. So it's nice for him to talk about current events and show you that the origin and the forces behind the current events are out there, you know. Because, you know, things that happened in the past are happening today and they will happen in the future. And it's up to us to make changes within ourselves and therefore change the world around us. You know, when I look around in the city of Detroit, of business and politics in this area, put Dennis Archer in power. You know, I mean, here was a man who was appointed to the state Supreme Court, and he quit that job 4 years prior to election to take a partnership with a law firm. And then when he decided to run for mayor, this law firm was his main backer, main financial backer. And of course the law firm was white, you know. And so naturally, he swept on into office, you know. Now, there's a group called the Community Coalition that through either they took it on themselves or somebody appointed them to spearhead the movement to get rid of Archer, which was a good thing because somebody has to do it if you don't like the man. I don't like the man, I just put it like this. And the Black Slate said they would work with the Community Coalition. I personally feel that the Black Slate must have picked them because the Black Slate is the political arm of the Shrine of the Black Madonna, and they are extremely powerful in this area. If you are a black person in Detroit and you want to run for office, you have to have the support of the Black Slate. If you don't have their support, you won't win. It's just that simple. So when I saw them supporting the Community Coalition and I thought they were directing their efforts, I said, well, maybe it'll work, you know. But when the Community Coalition was collecting these signatures for the petition, the first time when there were irregularities in it, and the petitions were rejected, I thought that was just Archer and his boys playing politics with it. But the second time it happened, it turns out that the Community Coalition was paying people 50 cents per signature. And so there were people who signed like 7,500 times, stuff like that, you know. And I don't watch much news, but some friends of mine said that they even had a couple folks on TV, you know, and they weren't the best example of Africans in America, you know. They and you know, so they were talking Ebonics, they didn't have no frontispices and stuff. And they was like, yeah, I said a bunch of times, you know. And I just said, you know, I was shocked to hear that a group that was supported by the Black Slate would go out in such a crudely ignorant way, you know. And I've met some of the people in the Community Coalition and their hearts are in the right place. But they were street folks like all of us, and I knew they didn't have the political sophistication, because you know, this is not something that they have been doing for years. But with the Black Slate backing them up, well, that's the direction that it showed them how to do it and keep them straight. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine, because the Black Slate is the Shrine of the Black Madonna's political arm. And I always have issues with the Shrine of the Black Madonna. I like their bookstore, and their church is okay. And I'm going to say this, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but you know, you should know the truth of your church if you are a member. The Shrine of the Black Madonna was begun by Reverend Albert Clay, Jr. When he started the church, you had to pass the paper bag test in order to go to the church. Now what that means is you have to be lighter than a paper bag. And if you were white, that was even better. And if you was married to a wife, maybe you didn't have to be lighter than, like your kids was gonna be lighter than, so that was still cool. Now one of my friends, my best friend actually, said his family used to go to that church. And when Clay made the switch, he kicked the whole family out, because they wasn't going to worship no black Jesus, because the Jesus that his family always worshiped was white. And one of the reasons why they went to that church was because of the restrictive interest requirement. And now here come Clegg all of a sudden, talking about Jesus was black, and all these white folks had to get out. And my friend said, well, that's not spiritual. So, and his parents wasn't having it no way, And so now, I've done a little research, and like last year when Steve Coakley came to town, he read a boule list of all the Detroit membership here in Detroit, from their inception until now. The first name on the list of original boule members was Albert Clegg. And when he said that, now Minister Malik Shabazz brought him in, and Minister Shabazz is a member of the shrine. So when Steve Cody said, Albert Clegg, the audience said, ooh, ooh, and Steve couldn't say nothing else. He was looking around like, what's up? Well, Minister Shabazz walked up there and said, no, you ain't gonna dog out Jeramogi, no, and stopped him. Then the crowd really went crazy. Then, ooh. Well, come to find out, that was Albert Clegg's father. That wasn't him. So that calmed everybody down. Minister Shabazz let him go on and read the list because everything was just alphabetical. When he got to the list of boule members in the 50s, I think it was about 57, 58. First name on the list was Albert Clegg Jr. Second name was his brother, and the third name was his other brother. So everybody just said, ooh, but we kept it down that time. We didn't want Shabazz to stop the lecture, I just said, hey, so they was boule, And so, in doing a little research on it, up until the Detroit riots of '67, the church was not the Shrine of the Black Madonna. It was Central Congregation Church. After the riots, Reverend Clay Jr. had a spiritual revelation. He could no longer worship a white Jesus. He could no longer have that paper bag test to let people in his church. So he flipped and said, well, Jesus was black, and now he's speaking the truth now. But he's still a Christian. He's a black Christian nationalist. Now, if you look at the state of the Afrocentric community in Detroit and look at their political effectiveness, it leaves a lot to be desired. The leadership of the Afrocentric community in Detroit comes from the Shrine of the Black Madonna. It's not right to always look at what the average man on the street does and say, well, them brothers ain't got it together. You have to look at the leadership sometime. Now, they've been leading this thing since the late 60s, 68, 69. And we don't have it together yet. And we need to ask questions about them. One problem I used to have with them was, until Black World Books opened on Jefferson, they used to mark up the prices of the books $2 or $3. And that used to aggravate me right there, because the price would be stamped on the book, and they would put their own little tape over and stamp on that the price that they wanted to charge, because they were the only book in town that sold black books, But it's like, so in little ways, they keep us misdirected, and in large ways too. They supported Coleman Young. They stood back the first time Archer ran. The second time Archer ran, when, I can't think of the fellow's name who ran against him now. Ed Vaughn ran against him. the shrine didn't back Ed Vaughn because Ed Vaughn and Reverend Clegg have been feuding since the 50s. Now, if you got a problem with Ed Vaughn, okay, but Archer is the problem. You know, settle your differences, put them aside for a minute, get Ed Vaughn in, and then get him in the headlock and make him do straight, because the mayor don't really have a whole lot of power. You know, he's like the doorkeeper, you know. But the main thing, if you want to get Archer out, then whoever's going to work with you to get Archer out, get with him and get him out. But the shrine couldn't do that because they have personal issues. So they stood back again. We got a problem with leadership here in this city. But we always want to look at white folks and say they the problem. And when movies like Amistad come out and they show black folks capturing blacks and putting us into slavery, we say that didn't happen. Black folks wouldn't do that. And it's, yes, we will. Yeah, we will quickly, you know. Because we ain't going against no white folks if we're scared, you know. Yeah? Sorry, I didn't hear. Who replaced him?
Who would replace him?
At the moment, there is none out there, you know. And oh yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm saying. And if the leadership or the forces that want to replace Archer is someone who is ineffective, I don't believe Clegg ever really had a revelation. See, Clegg's whole thing when it was the Central Congregation Church was to get next to white folks, right? As close as he could. And I believe what happened was, after the riot here in Detroit, when black folks tore it down, burned it down, and ran the white folks out, white folks went to him and said, look, we need somebody in charge of these niggas because they getting out of hand for real. And he said, I'll do it, master. I'll jump in front of them, just help me out. You know, give me some backing. I'll do what you want. I'll stand on them. I won't lead them. I'll stand on their shoulders and keep them down in the ditch. No, because you can't do nothing politically without the shrine. And the shrine, I mean, the black slave. And, well, I'm sorry, they're just interchangeable to me, you know. And so, they aren't grooming anyone to take Archer's place. They aren't grooming anyone to do anything different from what's being done already. And if you want to make changes, you got to do something different, you know. Yeah.
And Archer is going to play that game because Archer has been promised that he will be the next federal judge. That was when the agreement was made for him to leave Lansing, come back to become mayor. They said, come back and become mayor. Then you play that game right, you headed to Washington, to Supreme Court.
Okay, what Ruby said, in case you didn't hear, is that Archer's playing the game because when he left the state Supreme Court, he was promised that if he came down to Detroit and became mayor and did what they want him to do, they would appoint him to the federal Supreme Court. You know, and that makes sense, you know. I mean, you know.
They didn't say run, they said come back and be mayor.
Oh yeah, because it was a done deal, you know.
Right.
It's a done deal. He started fundraising so early that by the time, since we do like last minute things, by the time anybody else decided to run against him, there was nobody else they can go to get money to do it. And you know, you can't run a campaign without money and commercials, all that kind of stuff nowadays, you know. So, you know, I'm just saying this, that now we always look at a lot of way out things and try to understand them, but we have to relate them to some down-to-earth, everyday things in order to internalize the lessons from the way out things and make an effective change in our lives and the world. One of the things I'm doing locally, besides having these lectures and bringing in people like Dr. Blair, is one of my yoga instructors, Vishnu, and I have a workshop that meets the last Sunday of every month at my house over on Boston. We call it Physician Heal Thyself. And what we're doing is we're discussing the various ways that people do not try to heal themselves. We want other people to tell us what it is we're doing wrong, and then we want them to do it, and we want to see them straighten themselves out before we do it. You know, or else we want to take a magic pill that'll cure everything, you know. Go to school 4 years, get a better job, and think the world's going to be better, but it don't work like that, you know. So we discuss a lot of issues, and we meet on the last Sunday every month from 3 to 5 p.m. The last Sunday just happened to be tomorrow, so you want to stop by? You know, it's like 1695 West Boston between 12th and Woodrow Wilson, you know. I'm going to wind this up, you know, because you didn't come to hear me talk, but sometimes I get carried away. My company, oh, did I say my name? Y'all know my name. Okay, y'all know, all right. Well, my company, Tahuti Online, I have some products over here that I'm vending. And I have a brother and sister who run a Nefer Kara Creations. They have jewelry, and they also have some crystals that they would be glad to order for you. You know, I would like you to check them out. We will be taking a break in between this lecture tonight because Dr. Blair will be speaking on 2 subjects. One is the Managus Conspiracy, and the other is benefits. And benefits will tie into what I've been talking about, because if you want to know who's running the show, all you have to do is look and see who's benefits from the actions that are going on in this world. So he'll be discussing those 2 things, and in between we'll take a break, and you can check out the 2 vendors over there and run to the store and get you something to drink, because I forgot about that water thing. I didn't think about it till I was on the way down here. I said, oh well, sorry about that. You know, it's cool. So right now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Delbert Blair.
Audio taping acceptable?
I think you have to ask that gentleman right there. She wanted to know if audio taping is acceptable, Brother King. Said no? Okay. He said no, and he's the man. In addition to which, I'm going to have to go round and round with him anyway after the presentation tonight, because some of this I probably don't want on tape. So we'll have to talk about it, and hopefully it won't cost you too much to get the tape from him once we do. Well, we'll see. I'll make it work again. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for having come out this evening. We both thought, meaning again, Brother King, Brother Tiba King, and myself, because he told me, he said, Blair, we got air conditioning this time. And of course, I immediately hopped on a plane in advance from Chicago because I knew it was air conditioning here. Well, I see hands moving, and I see fans blowing, and I see smiles on faces, so that air conditioning is really good. Really good. Usually in Chicago, we get a lot of hot air there, and all of it doesn't come off the lake. Some of it comes from the city council and automatic offices, and the governor when he comes through, so like that. So a little refreshing, cool air is always good. My name is Del Blair, and I've been doing what I've been doing for a long number of years. They're approaching 40 now. And I've created a lot of talk and conversation, hopefully over the years. I looked around when I was sitting over there and waiting, and a lot of you I've seen here before. I've had the pleasure now, I guess, of coming to Detroit to speak for about 23 times. Got to be young enough to have been to some of my classes when we held them here in Southfield and all like that. Anybody would go back with me that far? One person. Beautiful. Two. Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. It's been a long one. Hey, let's keep doing 4. All right, it's good. Okay, we get 5. Good. All right. I thank you very much. And as you know, that being the case, I have studied the science of metaphysics for some time. Some people don't believe that metaphysics is a science, and especially not when I first started teaching it. When I was in undergrad school and was studying it like that more than the studies and the subjects that they made me take. But it is a science, and it is now the science. You cannot turn on a radio for 1 hour anywhere in any city, in any state, in any county in this country and not hear something metaphysical now. But I will say when I started out, that wasn't exactly the case. Before I go another further, let me first of all say to Atiba King, thank you. And I appreciate the man not only for his wisdom, but the way he's usually calm. I haven't even seen him say what he said tonight. He usually is very placid, very calm. I know inside there seems a lot, but very calm. He's very knowledgeable. He seems to me to be very assured because some of the steps he takes could be very dangerous and also could lose him money, but he finds a way, because of being honest, to make it. He's very tenacious. He's got to be patient because he puts up with people like me and people like he just talked about and all like that. But I wanted to thank him personally again because the last 4 times I've been here, he has been the sole person to invite me. And I want to thank also Machari. You're going to get into it too, for having picked me up, talked with me, and each time I've been here, whether the weather's been good or bad, he's been on the spot. So I want to thank both of you for doing what you did. And again, thanking you very much for coming here tonight. We've got a lot to cover tonight. That's why I brought a lot of clippings and papers. I'm going to reference them when I need to. I'm going to try and reference them a little bit more than I usually do because I bring a pile of notes and things but don't use them. I want to use them tonight because there's some things that I want to read to you verbatim about things that are going on our planet and in our country. The lecture that I'm going to start with, if you want to call it a lecture, will be benefits. The one that I will end with later tonight will be the Nagas Conspiracy. That's M-A-N-A-G-A-S, the Nagas Conspiracy. The flyer that I used when I did this lecture first in Chicago was simply called the Most Benefits. And it read again, in universal law, in man's law, and in human's law. If you've had any of my tapes, you know I select between all of those things. In order to judge who or what wins or loses, whether it be a trial, political situation, or in life, you have to determine who receives the most benefits. That's why I call this lecture Benefits. Many of these things you will finally feel are not at all beneficial. And I agree with you. Benefits don't have to always be good unless it is to the benefactor. If you are not the beneficial benefactor, you might think that you wish the whole benefit would stop. I want to start off, well, no, I don't want to start off yet. I want to make some little things that I jotted down as I listen to the radio, watch TV when I do a lot of reading and attend lectures and seminars and conferences and do a lot of research again. And I just found these things over these last 6 months, they grabbed me wrongly. They just made me feel kind of bad about it. There's one that is called the Great Swine Flu Epidemic. Many of you go back a long way, and you've probably seen my tape when I begin to tear down about that thing. So I now call it, again, Porky Took Wings. Now, that would be funny if it wasn't so serious. because as you probably heard me say, there never was a swine flu epidemic. And yet, 5 million people received shots for the swine flu epidemic and are suffering now, and they don't know why they're suffering. Isn't that terrible? They rushed out and did what the government told them to do as good citizens, good mothers and fathers, good parents, good husbands and wives, good citizens, and they took a shot that was not necessary for something that never existed. So it might as well have been that the swine flu was Porky took wings, pigs flew around, and people got worried. The point is that they did it in good faith. In courts of law, due diligence and good faith mean a lot. If a person, therefore, is irresponsible, or worse, responsible enough to give inoculations and vaccinations to citizens for no reason at all that could be harmful to them, then you have to say, who benefits? Another thing that I say, and I don't think it's too funny, but it's knock knock. Who's there? Marshall. Marshall who? Martial law. That ain't funny. But it's a good knock knock up against your head. That's where that knock knock comes. Martial law is something now that is already invoked in 33 cities in the United States, and you haven't heard it declared but in one county when there was a big earthquake. Why do I say that? Because if any city or county or state has signed a FEMA allegiance, you're already susceptible to martial law whenever the governor, board of commissioners, or any 5 people serving in the federal government declare it to be so. Hope you heard that. If you've had any reason for FEMA to enter into your county, city, or state, it can now announce martial law when it chooses to. In school, they had me study a long time something called the Constitution of the United States of America. If you notice now, most of the time they talk about the United States. They say very little about America. They say very little about for the republic for which I used to stood. Because I don't understand. I understand the term now. A lot of people don't even overstand. But a lot of people are going to have to take a stand. Simply because what they're doing now is all unconstitutional and violates the Constitution every second by most things that Congress, the various departments, the cabinets, and the executive branch of government do, because now things are done by executive law, which means executive orders. You actually spend time, I will never say waste time, spend time electing people, arguing about it, campaigning for them, and voting. Only to have those people get so surreptitious and so overly influenced when they run up against other things that the very laws that they're supposed to uphold and the very people they're supposed to help are being usurped. And now instead of Congress doing things, it's being done by executive order. Recently, you have sent, or you know someone else that has sent, United States citizens in the form of armed forces personnel to the Gulf, to Somalia, maybe some other places. Kosovo, goes on and on and on. No act of war declared by the Congress of the United States, ratified by the executive division, and agreed to by the people and representatives of the people. They just say go. What really got me, as we're worrying about how a man zips and unzips his pants and where and how frequently, and it goes on worldwide TV discussing his escapades. They make jokes about Viagra and the manufacturer of Viagra, William F. Clinton. But then, in a non-funny way, he commits your young people to go and fight. and you allow it while laughing at how he runs his zipper. Rather than he unzipped his pants twice every hour for the rest of his life than to send one child to death fighting for a war that they don't even know, a police action that they know nothing about. I know they know nothing about because if they did it, they wouldn't fight it. They'd be in jail, they'd be in the streets and everything else. They're doing it because that's the way they are trained. Which is another thing to the educational bill now. We used to go to school to get educated. Now you know where your education comes, sitting in Universal's church right now, going to seminars and lectures like this. They don't educate you in school anymore. You educate yourself every day, and hopefully you keep on getting educated till there isn't anything to get educated to. You're getting trained in the schools. You're getting trained to fulfill niches and jobs and things to maintain a situation that's going to grind you under, but you don't get educated. You beg, plead, steal, work hard for an education. There's another one that I heard is very interesting too. They stated that the founding fathers did a lot of things here. And from a black perspective, I have a not too funny joke. I say, the founding fathers means I found your father there, so I killed him. That's terrible, isn't that all? But do you know with many Native Americans, African Americans, people with melanin, that is the truth? The irony is that is the truth.
That's right.
Heard about the great gold rush? That's the rush to find out where they put the stuff that was in Fort Knox. And how many boats and planes you have to take to get to it. Or of course there's a rush to limbo. Rush to Limbo. I can never pronounce that name correctly. Is it Rush to Limbo or Rush to Limbo? Or is it one and the same? Another one that really grabs me a lot is that there are clean air bills passed now by the Senate. And in your state and county, I hope maybe you don't, but I think you do, you have the Environmental Protection Act, and you also have to have clean vehicles. How many of you received those little summonses to go and have your vehicle checked out for clean air filters? And raise your hand if you've had to go through that. You see that? Oh, you don't have to do that anymore. You mean I'm the only, subject that still has to do it. Well, we have to do it in Chicago and in the whole state of Illinois. And what gets me again is they want those vehicles not to spray out anything. They want everything clean and yet they send over planes 10 times a day to chemically spray big cities in the United States, and there's not one big city in the United States that doesn't get sprayed at least twice a week. And you know the terrible thing about it? Nobody knows what they're spraying.
Every day.
Nobody knows what they're spraying.
That's right.
Tell me this. We're going to fight? No, we're not. They are going to fight wars, police actions, skirmishes, also in Iraq, in Iran, the Gulf, in Vietnam, in Korea, in Somalia, and what's that place down in Panama? Oh, of course, that was not, nobody was ever killed in Panama, though. That was just a fight skirmish. I had some friend that used to be a person who dared to argue with me that they killed over 300,000 black people in Panama, and dared to say that the mass graves were just a relic of a political administration who wanted to decry the United States government for its actions in Panama. No, I think maybe they might have killed maybe 500,000 people down in Panama. So it's not that many people in Panama. You haven't been to Panama recently. You haven't seen what they've done to the Panama Canal recently either. With the installations there, the microwaving, that every ship coming through is getting microwaved. And who knows what's being put on the hulls of those ships. There's a lot of things going on, folks, that are most interesting in this time of our lives. The Terminator seed is a very interesting other little beastie plan or law or some dream that became somebody's nightmare. They also state now, in case of Y2K really reaching the terrible end that it might, it's best that you begin to grow your own food. It's best that you have the old backyard gardens. I started to say victory gardens, but nobody would know what I meant. And then when I say victory gardens, well, victory garden was for victory. I don't know what kind of gardens we're going to go now, because we're not getting too victorious nowadays. They say, store the seeds, and if Y2K does become applicable, get you a plot of land somewhere, if not an acre, then an inch, get something and start growing. And store seeds. You can chew seeds, and there's energy in seeds. It can be released in the digestive system and can give you strength and things. So people say, all right, I'm going to plant me a garden. And they go and they destroy a beautifully manicured lawn because they're now thinking. They're thinking in a beautiful way now. Let's not just grow grass. Let's grow food. To me, that's intelligent thinking. If we're going to go to Y2K, it won't be how beautiful your lawn looks, it'll be how healthy you can stay. So I can see that. So people start planting things. Used to plant seeds, but now they're planting things. So, uh-oh, Blair, here you start. There you go with that kind of talk again. You're right. I always want you to remember what I say, so I talk in irony. But I do it in metaphors, but now I'm going to do it straight out. Terminator seed is a seed that germinates and produces a plant or food one time and doesn't reproduce itself, and you can't grow it again. Now that would be good if it's just a little victory garden in the backyard, a neighborhood collective on the corner where they took a vacant lot and gave humus and nitrogen to the soil and made things grow. But it's not. These are 100,000 acre farms, 50,000 acre farms, 15,000 acre farms. Farmers cannot grow crops anymore because the government will not sell to them seeds that will germinate and grow past one season. I sound like I just made that up, didn't I? Somebody made up their minds before I made that up to destroy you. And not only you, anybody that wants to be healthy on this planet. They have actually taken off the market fertile seeds that can grow crop after crop, rotation after rotation, year after year, and it is now against the law that your government has passed to allow those farmers to grow with those kind of seeds anymore. And if you are caught with them, you can go to jail. Now you know, you talk about irony, madness, good and bad laws. Tell me what is good about a law passed that if you have a seed that can give you a crop for more than 1 year, you are in violation. Why have farms? It doesn't matter how much land now a farmer has. He is not allowed to carry any seeds or sell any seeds that can grow past one crop, which means that each year, if whoever is manufacturing, distributing these seeds says no, that farmer is gone. You can use it for ice skating, surfing, and pretty soon when the land erodes in sand, you can wash away sandstorms from the big cities. You didn't hear what I just said, did you? You think about that. And you tell me who benefits. Who benefits? Every day when the planes take off from the airports, some planes take off from back of the airport. Some planes take off from silos down the road that open up and they're almost launched. And as I just said, contrails come over major cities, major farmlands, major rural and urban areas. Contrails. Contrail is condensed moisture in the air that flows over the wing of an airplane at least 55,000 feet into the air or more. That moisture, when it condensates, looks very white, and it leaves a trail of those little particles that are icing up, because the temperature usually is 55 degrees below zero, that altitude. And as these trails then form, it leaves a little contrail behind it. Jet exhausts, when you just see a plane taking off from a major airport, and so it's supposed to be so particulated, so filtered, that you're not even supposed to see it. I repeat to you, what is a contrail? Iced vapor condensation from a plane, a minimum of 55 miles up, with a temperature of at least 55 degrees below zero, flying through, leaving a little ice particulation trail. How many of you may have even seen these double rows of chemtrails spreading after the plane has been gone 2 hours later and creating a fog and a mist over major cities, over farmlands, over waterways? Don't think that that spray stopped at your city. It's in your water. It's in ocean water. It's in lake water. It's in mountain water. It's in stream water. And if those things go a variable table of underground reed or reservoirs, it's in the underground springs and underground waters. How many of you walked out in your backyard, front yard, woods, or anywhere where there are trees, or sometimes where there's just concrete, and start brushing away the spider webs, and feeling something itchy on your face, and seeing something gossamer on some of your ferns, or on some of your trees, or your bushes, or sprung through from one plant to another? And how many have jumped away from all the spiders that fell out of those webs? No spiders in the webs. They're not spider webs. They're not cobwebs. I don't know what kind of webs they are. Maybe we should search the internet webs to find out. What is it? What are they? In the late 1960s and 70s, people were seeing what they call angel hair falling over major portions around our planet. Didn't hear too much about angel hair. They said it looked somewhat like cotton candy. And it kind of like a sticky residue. Well, so do these things now. If you've ever seen any close up, and I hope you haven't, if you do, try to wash your hands immediately and use baking soda as a substance. These things become a little chemically sticky glue. If they're on your banisters or on your yard or so, it's actually a sticky little paste that these things form. All sprayed from overflying planes over every major city in the United States. I hear that they're even now getting them over in some of the European countries. What about chemtrails? Let's not even waste time talking about contrails when we're referring to this. These are chemical trails. I did a lot of research. If I brought that over, I can see I want to get back and read you some things for you. Got some voluminous notes. I'm not going to read you all of them, but I want to take a look at some things. They asked people, they took a poll, and they asked supposedly people, scientists in the know, what do they think these chemtrails are? Came out, protective shields for some solar rays that may be coming to us. Disbursement test to see what it does to air. Inoculating U.S. populace against bioweapons or hazards that may be coming from terrorists. something that would illuminate for high altitude energy dispersants. Smart polymer plastics, RNA messengers, positive negative ends of a protein, and that these polymers could coat an artificial virus. What have they actually found in some of this stuff that's been examined? Extreme biohazardous virus, some of it referred to as, there's this word again, pseudomonas. Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas is a very deadly virus, and the highest breed of that virus is called fluorescence. Pseudomonas fluorescens and living human T cells have been found in this soup that drops down. Living human T cells? Pseudomonas fluorescens? Sprayed by planes over United States cities? Biohazards. Hazardous material analyzed by lab techs that was collected from a metal siding, aluminum, that contained defecation, brown gook, manure. Must be all of these planes that are flying by now, so many people use them, they can't do anything to take care of them, so they just dump them over cities as they go. It adds to the fertilization process. Just they didn't say what they were fertilizing. Brad Birkin, a Miami radio talk show moderator, had 2 shows which he devoted 6 hours to talking about chemtrails. And he actually found that scientists were admitting when they analyzed this that some of these were minute, micro-miniaturized metallic particles. Boy, they hold that's a whole lot to spray from the air, you know that? Just putting all these different things together, how long does it take, since they're still doing it? Why are they doing it? What are they spraying? I won't go into too many more on this one. I wanted to share that bit with you. It's been stated that possibly not only is this a great protection for United States citizens, but whatever it is, whether it's a detriment or a helper, why haven't the citizens voted for being sprayed? Why don't the cities and citizens ask their elected representatives, why is the government that they're elected to spraying them? And whoever heard of some foreign plane coming over the United States of America's big cities day after day, hour after hour, week after week, and now month after month, spraying the cities? No National Guard attack jets, no two-line adherence, no scrambling, no shooting down, not even any reports to any of the citizens as to why this is allowed to be happening, which means obviously it's not only sanctioned by the FAA, therefore by the Department of Commerce, but must be a plan by your government, which you as a citizen know nothing about, and this is a free and demonstrated democratic republic, right? I mean, over there in Africa, where those ignorant people, those black people, those people still in the Stone Age need help, they might do that. In Kosovo, where those Serbian, Croatian nuts have been fighting each other for 500 years that need some help, they might do that. In Iraq and Iran, where those Arab people who were not too long from pilgrimaging and not even understanding what's really going on in the world, they might do that. In China, where those backward people there, where they're still paddling canoes and are not coming to the third world yet again, but are trying to because of their population, they might do that. In Borneo, they might do that. No, in Japan, they wouldn't do that. They already did that. But in the United States of America, on white citizens, black citizens, brown citizens, yellow citizens, and immigrants, and aliens, and no citizens? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Please give me some answers. Be better than what your elected representatives are doing. Give me some answers. You talk about protest. You talk about Zippergate. If any one of these things that these people, scientists and research people say they're finding in these chemicals is being done, why in the world is it being allowed? You're going to church tomorrow. You're in church today. You look up at the blue sky and it's suddenly not blue anymore. But look for these chemtrails making it cloudy. Come on. That is what is a more major issue than that? You know, I used to make a joke, and I make ironic jokes, and I don't even think they're funny. I just say it because in order to stay semi-sane, I told you I was neurotic. My neurosis has grown. It will grow some more. The more I research, the more neurotic I get. Why? Because they're psychotic. They're mad. They're worse than mad. They're ignorantly mad. Before I finish up, I'm going to show you they're about to take on a planet. I mean, you got to be good when you take on a planet. So yeah, I'm a little bit neurotic. Forgive me. I hope when you leave tonight, you will be too. As we, I didn't dump the wrong thing here now. Let's see here. Going down my checklist, and I want to make sure I can find my checklist here again. Okay. Here we go. New government food control laws. New government food control laws. Do yourself a favor, but do it with some wisdom. Go to your neighborhood store, whatever the chain store is, a big one now, and get you a shopping cart and start getting some canned goods and bottled goods off the shelf. And if you don't really want to buy them all, get some selective buying, like you're actually reading labels. Put some in your cart first, because other than that, they have spies in the sky, but the sky is the ceiling above you, where they're watching you and they zoom in on you. And if you fit a certain profile, they'll zoom in closer. They can see how much money you don't have in your pocket. By the way, nowadays too, you know, when you come in the store now, alarms can go off when you come in the store, not when you leave. And alarms are not triggered to detect if you have metal guns or knives. They're triggered to read your credit cards and the magnetic strip on your money. They can tell pretty much how loud that sound goes off and how many times it beeps, how much money you have in your pocket. They can read your credit card and know how much money you have on that credit line if you use it. And they can start playing music to entice you. I mean, they can play music to calm you down as you buy. They can help you along with your shopping spree. No. You knew that, didn't you? That's why those detectives at the front door, not because they think you're coming with guns. That's a byproduct of this society nowadays. They're reading your pocketbook, your wallet, your purse. They're the best thief. I'm saying they're the best person you've ever seen happening it. They do it with sophistication and aplomb. I mean, if a guy's going to take me out with aplomb to the ball game, right? But anyway, pick those canned goods up and read them. If necessary, even invest $15 in all kind of different foods. And then, or write down or memorize what some of those palatable multisyllable words mean. You will find when you check United States Dispensatory of Pharmaceutical Products, Merck's Index, that at least on every canned goods you pick up, there will be 4 things that could kill you in it. You didn't hear me, did you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we did.
At least 4 things that could kill you in every can you pick up. Read it. Why? Produce section used to say you could tell a smart woman, a smart man, a wisdom seeker, and a wisdom talker, walker, and doing the thing by where they went in the store when they went into the store. And if it was a grocery store, they went to the produce section because they knew that live foods, live fruit, enzyme producing spinach, carrots, beets, celery, cucumbers, radishes, Bermuda red onions, not the white onions that take calcium from you. All these things smart people would buy. Some even had juicerators, and they go home and they juice it. Then they got pulp ejectors, and they go home and they take some of the pulp and make carrot cakes and things. Well, they knew that each meal should have some live food in that because life gives life and death gives death. And now smart people want life along with the death. So if they're going to get the barbecue, at least they want some spinach and carrot juice with it. Tastes good that way. You don't have that choice anymore. Or have you made a mistake to go to your produce section lately? No, don't tell me that, Blair. Don't tell me that, Blair. Don't hit me with that. Yeah. If you don't spend a half an hour in your produce section, if you go there, you are ignorant. Isn't that terrible? And I love you. You're ignorant. Because the danger you can walk into now when you go to the produce section is unbelievable. And in fact, have you bought any produce recently? How you like those apples? You buy them, red delicious apples, especially one of the worst kind you can get, and you cut it open, and there stands the filthy, pithy worms. There stands a fungus in the middle of it. I'm serious. Go get your red delicious, I don't care where, cut it right through the seeds and see what you see there. Don't just eat it and throw it away. Half those things have been gassed in the warehouse. You eat them 2 years old. The fresh crop now is failing because where do you think all these products is? What used to be foods, all right, apples are coming from. How many fires they had in Washington State? Up and down California, you hear forest fires. How many times do you think over 15 years you can burn a forest and still grow anything in it? Are they lying? Are there forest fires? You go down in Florida, floods everywhere. In Mississippi, the growing area, floods everywhere. Where are they growing the produce from? Can't be in the backyard with a Terminator seed, can it? Don't you tell nobody, but I know somebody got some good seeds. I'll get these cheap. I'll sell you some seeds cheap, I will, but don't you tell nobody now. Hey man, I got some seeds, baby. I got some seeds. Seeds, baby, seeds. On the islands, monsoons, typhoons, tornadoes, hurricane, seiches, and El Nino, and La Nina. The law of this land, whatever this land is, I have no idea what it is. You name it, good as anything I can think of, says that they can gene splice and fumigate seeds before they put them in, and they don't have to tell you what crop has been gene sliced or fumigated. Fumigation is putting up to 18 different kind of chemicals into a seed and then putting it in the ground so that the worms and bugs won't eat it. But you will. Gene splicing is taking a lizard's egg, a spider's, what are spiders' eggs? easy with these spiders, another water spout, a spider's whatever, an ant's whatever, a rat's whatever, a rat's cousin's whatever, whatever. And splicing it into what used to be a food set. Tomatoes may have insect venom. Radishes may have coloring from a beet, and the beet may have been one that they grew in underground laboratories. An onion's not an onion unless it smells, and some onions now don't even cry. I mean, won't make you cry. I mean, sometimes you'll cry if you got the onion. I mean, ever seen some of the broccoli they got now? I love tomatoes. My father's from Jamaica. Spent a lot of time on the islands. I love pineapples. I don't know what they're selling there. I go for a pineapple, I look at it, I don't know what it is. I love to turn it over and see all the fungus crawl about. Sometimes take this little microscope, a little magnifying glass, you can see them crawling. I cut it open, that's the biggest mistake. You know they had a cantaloupe recall March of this year? Go back and check it out. People were buying cantaloupes, and if you notice, you got sales on cantaloupe now. Yeah, they had a cantaloupe recall because the whole cantaloupe crop was full of some kind of poison and stuff from something they said got into some of the forests and the jungles over there where they grew the cantaloupe. The people there won't buy cantaloupes and eat them, they won't buy pineapples and eat them, but they're shipping over here. You eat them. Have you ever seen some of this thing they call watermelon? I'm sorry, watermelon. Seen anything we call watermelon nowadays? A watermelon? Have you seen any watermelons lately? You know, some of them don't have too much water, some of them kind of a lot of fiber on it, they're really sour. Watermelons used to be one of the sweetest things. It cleanses the liver, cleanses the spleen, very good for the blood. I don't know what this is good for. I don't even know what you call it. They don't have to tell you if they genetically altered any food anymore for any reason. And if you ask them about it, you can get in trouble. Because they altered that. You ask them, why did they alter that? And at least tell me, sir, which one of these things is genetically altered? They say, I don't know the whole thing, forget it, it's bad. Whoever heard of crossing an insect with a vegetable and calling it a tomato? A cucumber. Oh, why did they do this? They wanted to give natural protection to these plants against these invading insects and things that are causing crops not to grow. Of course, dropping napalm in Vietnam and places like that, that might cause crops not to grow too, but it's the insects you got to worry about. Let me dispel a myth very quickly for you. Insects have a lot of characteristics that make them insects, including feelers, little things. They twitch around. You know why they twitch around? They're a sensing apparatus. They can pick up vibrations, energy fields, and around all biological organisms, including plants and vegetables, and you, there is an energy field. Tonight, probably will demonstrate some of that to you. This energy field that is there tells anything that is sensitive what state of health you're in. What state of health you're in. Also, what state of health you might not be in. When insects see a ripe, life forced piece of food, corn, carrot, spinach, whatever it is, they crawl onto it, sense its field, and if the field has a high enough energy to it, they keep on going. Because to eat it would destroy their bodies. It's too potent for them. They would not drop any eggs or larvae into it because it would kill the eggs or larvae when the eggs or larvae spawn, hatch, whatever they do. When they started with DDT back in World War II and began to chemicalize, these insects began to get the little sensing apparatus stopped up, and they no longer could detect what was in a lot of things, and they began to go haywire. Then they began to create chemicals to actually kill the insects, and they did the first generation, but the second generation mutated, and they ate it for lollipops. It was their dessert. Still goes on. Second generation of any insect. mutates and can now live off of what killed the previous generation. We know about that because we black people though. Huh? We better be. Why? Because plants have leaves, and what's in every leaf? Chlorophyll. And what's chlorophyll made of? A coloring substance equal to melanin, photosynthetic, that is adaptogen. The insect kingdom only ate up what was low enough in vibration for them and not high enough in vibration to help you stay alive and keep you healthy. That was the plan of the divine creator, if you believe in such. The new divine creator wears white coats, smocks, stethoscopes, and carries around hyper syringes and sprays from the air. Must be a divine creator because he's sure creating a mess here now. They don't tell you what you are eating, and there's no law to make them. So now, if you see all the things in the canned goods that are killing you, or potentially can be cancer, carcinogenic, leukemic, and every other thing, and you try to go to the produce section, you've got nothing there waiting. If you get it when it first comes in, you go to some Whole Food stores and things like this, you can selectively get that, and then right quick, you better soak it in some KO7 real quickly. And within 3 hours, because the KO7 will take the dyes off of it, will kill whatever pesticides are on it, but then you better get it because the leaves are so impotent that they'll start to crinkle on you after 3 hours. So then you rinse it and take it in your body and pray. Hope at least you're getting something good. Why would a government or officials there to help the citizens of the United States do such a thing? Who benefits? Yugoslavia and Kosovo drama. Everybody knows about it. The wars, the action's over. The non-declared whatever is over. NATO won. Who's NATO? NATO? Neptunus? NATO, North American Treaty Organization. Wasn't the Treaty of Versailles that made that come about. In fact, that agreement was signed where? Where? The NATO alliance is supposed to be against Russia during the Cold War. You know, when it's hot outside, they have hot wars. When it's cold outside, they have cold wars. During the Cold War, portions of the European society said, we got to get the help of the United States and all, in case those deadly Russians come over the border again and mess over us. So they set up NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, against Russia. Well, who was the first army to come into Yugoslavia after the war? The who? The Russians are coming, the Bolsheviks are there, right, huh? How in the world can you fight with an enemy that you were organized? Somebody help me. I tell you, I'm neurotic, man. It's getting worse. I can't understand. You guys can. You guys have wisdom, intelligence. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. Tell me, how can you let the first armed troops on ground, because they made sure everything flew in the air, kill people from the air, right? The first one coming out, the Russians, who NATO was formed to fight. Russia signed in somewhere quickly, right? But you didn't hear about that, did you? And as much as I love him, do you really think the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson would go over with the ambassador from Yugoslavia and the senator and talk to the person that they're trying to bomb out of extinction because he's a nasty you-know-what? That's what he told me. Saddam Hussein is a madman, this is a nasty, you told me these things. It's got to be right because the press said it, right? You think he would have gone over there unbeknownst to Clinton and did what he did? That he did it is wonderful. Please understand me. Because I'm going to give you some other examples. I am not denouncing. Let's say Dr. Blair came over here and denounced Jesse Louis Jackson. Reverend Jesse Louis. No. Do you think he would have acted like that if he didn't have permission? Do you really?
Well, they got no.
That's why he acted over in Africa after he did that, but not when they were killing people in Zaire, when they were killing people in Namibia, when they were killing people in Nairobi. When AIDS was over there, the Japanese came over and took over Dr. Koki's formula. But when he was given permission, he did. And he did a good job of debating. But can't you begin to see what's happening? I could spend all night on that. Let me give you the punchline. Let me know, I gotta add one more little thing. How many of you remember this? About the third week of the NATO action, I can't even say war anymore, NATO action, there were a group of Serbian refugees that were trying to make it to the border. Okay? Well, all the Albanian people just slaughtered them some more. And they photographed them. They were on the road. And then for 2 days, 2.5 days, they couldn't find them. And then they found them in a valley where they had gone to hide from the bombings and the Serbians. How many of you remember that vaguely? Just raise your hand if you can go back and remember that now. Good. Most of you didn't hear about it, huh? Yeah, okay. Did you hear what the person over there who was the assistant to the guy that was over there who was running everything? Sobogovich? He stated that they were hired actors who didn't get paid, and so they went home. And when they came up with some more money, they came back and got on the road and went on down. And what was very interesting, many of them had changes of clothes. How do you change your clothes when you left with the clothes in your back and you're out there in a forest in the jungle where it had rained and there's napalm all around? I'm sorry, it wasn't made napalm. It's plutonium bombs, by the way. They tested some new weapons out over there. Before you laugh at that, let me jump across to the Gulf War. When they told you, and I remember this very clearly again, I think it was ABC carried it again, that they were going, jump with me now, we're back to the Gulf War. They told you again that they were bombing downtown Baghdad in Iraq. They saw the flares and the guns were going off and so on again like this. And they even went to reporters and said, now we go over to such a thing. What do you see there again? Oh, I'm here. Said, where are you? I don't know. The reporter said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean you don't know? Where are you? I don't know. They dropped me off here. And I don't know. Wait. Oh, let's take it away. Go back. Okay. People were going to restaurants, to plays, going dancing in full regalia, formals, while they were bombing Baghdad. They bombed downtown Detroit. You're going to go down there and catch that little show, aren't you? You're going to go to a restaurant, aren't you? You're going to go dancing, aren't you? Blair, what are you saying? Exactly what you heard me say. Obviously, they weren't bombing when they said they were bombing. They might not have been bombing where they said they were bombing. But you've got now the Gulf War syndrome now affecting 250,000 people. All from all those people that got shots, and so all those canisters, every time you exploded it, and they said, oh, boom, there goes one of Saddam Hussein's things, full of chemicals and biologicals, and now those soldiers are coming back here sicker than dogs. And it spreads to their wives, it spreads to their husbands, and the children are now being born just like the thalidomide children, all misshapen out of it, with no immune systems working. And you applauded every time you saw those Scud missiles blow. Boom! Oh, there's one for the big U.S. Folks, these are dangerous times to be cheering any kind of killing going on. Because first they, and then they go for back again to Kosovo. The real reason for Kosovo has nothing to do with what you heard. Those people have been killing each other for 500 years. And they're back doing it again. They took the Serbs out, and now the Albanians are over there. They took the Albanians out, now the Serbs are burning their villages. There's so much hatred there going on now, that will never end unless a whole new generation is taken off that land, re-educated, and then placed back. It's now what you call a systematic genetic war. It's in the consciousness of the people. That's what war does to planets, and that's what war does to the heavens above planets. And it gets into your blood because you've seen people die, you've heard the stories, and you react to them. They found through the orbiting United States satellite, and probably Russia too, because they share and share alike. Yes, they share and share alike. You don't, but they do. They found oil 15 miles off the coast of Yugoslavia. It runs underneath that area. And it's sulfuric oil, which is the best oil because it burns clean. So now they just cleared away all the land of all the oil fields and all the oil refineries, and they can now set up the new system because those other things couldn't pump it. And now they can pump the new oil at your expense because you're going to pay for the cleanup. Well, you know you're not taxed enough yet. Come on, you know you're not taxed enough yet. Pay something for the world, new world, old world, the world order, right? You can afford it. You look like you can afford it to me, right? They have found gold veins down there now, some of which rival what they found in Africa, which is the richest on this planet, and oil, and that's why they're there. And they didn't want those people to mine it themselves, and they definitely didn't want the Serbs taking over because the Serbs have some of the most intelligent people there now because the best scientists from Europe went to Kosovo and were mapping out plans on how to get this oil out of the ground and what treaties they had to sign and who had to get paid off. Why do you think all of these companies around the world are conglomerating? You better start grabbing your neighbor soon too. They're ahead of you. They know what time it is. Because the little fish cannot stand up anymore. It takes technology to start splitting elements and atoms and fissionable. Cold fusion now is replacing hot fission. That's why they're there, and they use what was going on as an excuse. It was so dangerous to shoot those smart missiles, smart enough to knock off a church, smart enough to land on a hospital, smart enough to hit the Chinese embassy. I mean, smart missiles. Downtown in Kosovo was like a small Detroit. They have office buildings down there. People from all over the world, knowing this oil is down there, was sitting in trying to figure out how they're going to get it. Those things flying through like that could have slammed into part of the NATO people. Supposedly did slam into one of the Chinese embassy people. Oil is there. Look for money anytime you sign capitalists up front. Capitalists don't have to be in the United States. They're all over the world, especially the New World, especially the New World Order. They tested out plutonium and disintegrating deuterium bombs there. They didn't know what to do with a lot of the aftermath of making these missiles and these atomic type things, so they found that it could form when you set off a high charge, it would like melt and you had something like napalm. And not only that, but it would give off a big boom and a big light that scares the heck out of you. So they set those things off there, they tested it. That should be nothing new. Remember Vietnam? Agent Orange, brown, yellow, green, purple. I'm not making up those colors. That's what some of these canisters were colored, that they had different chemicals that came out of as they tried to defoliate half of Vietnam. So what's new? Gulf War. Now you got Gulf War syndrome. So what's new? Just recently, what happened in Korea? The North Koreans supposedly did what? Came down into South Korea, and South Korean 2 destroyer frigates blew these little torpedo boats out of the water. How many of you remember hearing that? Some of the time see, this is why I'm glad you came out tonight. I can do the research while you're working. I can do my kind of work, you can do we kind of work, but we can share the information, and maybe it will cause you to start acting. How many actually heard about what recently happened in Korea? They heard something about it. Well, that's what happened. Did that ring any bell to anybody when you heard that? Because how did Vietnam supposedly start? A North Vietnamese torpedo boat came into the Gulf of Haiphong Harbor, and attacked 2 under-steam frigates. Oh man, that really grabbed me when I heard that. I said, boy, this guy was high on sake. Had some of the best white stuff going around. White Horse was there and him for sure. That PT boat commander had to be wanting to commit suicide. He takes a PT boat and attacks 2 under-steam frigates. A frigate, by the way, is worse than a destroyer. It has 136 torpedoes. It has depth charges. It has a small motor launch. It has a catapult ship, a plane that can go up again. It has guns that one shell was as big as a PT boat. And 2 of them under steam, and this thing attacks it. And you bought that. You bought that. Like you just bought Korea. That's where they're going to next, by the way. Back to Korea. Back to the future. Future to the back. No, whatever. Let me move on, folks. Let me move on. The tremendous, terrible death toll worldwide by weather and weather-related phenomena. We all know that God hates us. God does not like what the people on this planet do. God is going to wreak havoc and vengeance against his people, for they've turned against him. All right, I want you to say blasphemy and being now terrible. God wears a white coat, spats sometimes, dungarees sometimes, has a stethoscope, and he has a lot of little things in his thing. For the great God, white coat, lab techs and scientists are playing God. The Creator has never done anything like this. And nature always warns you first. Watch that rule. These people are now creating weather. Do you really think the weather we're getting is real? This is real because it's killing. But do you think it came from the Creator? No. You probably heard my tapes. I got all these things on tape. Individualized, compartmentized, and I spell it all out. The Senate and House bills that are now 20 years old, legislating penalties, fees, imprisonment, fines for anybody using any kind of weather-modifying equipment and not reporting its usage or the fact that they can. Why do you legislate to put Senate and House bills against that and they can't find out what's spraying you from the air? Be honest, unless you heard some of my lectures before about my tapes, how many even knew about the Senate and House bills 20 years ago that legislated against the use of weather modifying equipment? Tesla principles, coils. They have been making weather for so long now that they have now a new statement again. By 2020, we will make the weather, and now we're modifying it. And they got it on the web page. Department of the Navy has done research. Department of the Air Force has done research, and they got another one too. I got that somewhere. I'll dig up this new name they've got. I didn't even know such an organization existed. Oh, and by the way, and you know where the funds for many of these projects come from? The Department of Commerce. Only thing wrong with Ron Brown, he thought he was, nope. He thought he was, what? Commissioner of the Department of Commerce. He thought he was. That's the only mistake he made. My mayor's brother now heads that department. So you know what Chicago's in where I'm moving. I'm serious. I'm gonna probably get my come up Tuesday, I'm moving. Yeah. His brother is now the director of the Department of Commerce, where most of these black funds come from. Black funds. Don't get happy. Black project funds. Negative, evil things that they don't want you to know they're doing. Bad people's projects. They're funded through the Secretary of Commerce. With Richard Daley's brother's department. So everything, new thing now is coming to Chicago because he can get some more money and they can test it on some more people. That's why we still have clean air filtration plants for our thing for our cars. We got to still go through that. They have modified weather for so long. It used to be silver nitrate. Now they have gotten into particulation that they can spray on the clouds for cloud seedings. And through the HAARP program, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gilcona, Alaska, they now send out beams of energy into the ionosphere bounces off of orbiting satellites, penetrates into the ground, and also can cause cloud formation and what they call ionic stack principles. Simply broken down, it's just like this. They can put columns of non-moving air, and they can send enough high frequency ELF waves, microwaves, to separate the oxygen from those particles and leave static, stale air in a column. When the natural currents that have taken thousands of millions of years on this planet hit that, what they call the jet stream, they hit it and they bounce cylindrically, forming a circle off this column of non-moving ionized particulated air, electrified air, causing tremendous spin and beginning to form hurricanes.
So that's so cool.
That's not only Oklahoma, that's Bangladesh, that's Sumatra, that's China, that's part of Africa, that's part of Europe, that's down in Brazil, that's up and down all of the coastal cities from North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Texas, Florida. That is everywhere, folks. They can form water, air. You now have the alphabet going through 2 times. Now they have to involve women. Women have never been like a hurricane. Some women have never been like a hurricane. Only guys go around in circles and do stupid things. But they ran out of men's names, so now they're telling the hurricanes you have to be called females now. Equal sections. Why? Because there are more hurricanes happening now than ever before in the history of this planet, written history that we now read. They're marching out of Africa. They're coming across the oceans. They're coming down into the bays, and they're going up and they're going around and they're happening. Oklahoma, they stated that there was a cell, a weather cell, 10 miles wide that produced a tornado 10 blocks wide that sat for 2.5 hours over a city in Oklahoma. Come on. First of all, hurricanes on this planet, to my little limited research, don't happen over land, they happen over water. And when they hit the coast, they begin to break up because the air there is different, the temperatures are different, the salt factor is different, and they move on. This daggone thing sit there and just sit there. And plus now they have hurricane patterns, where if it happens once, you might as well don't pay the mortgage for the next month. And if you're a renter, don't pay them nothing. Move. Because if they did it once now, they'll do it again. They say tornadoes are sporadic in their path. These things aren't sporadic. You can almost tell now. You know it's going to be happening now. This is August, this is starting just about with July, right after. Here we go again. And each year they get worse. Encapsulated, Nikola Tesla back in 1900 and in 1909 came up with the Tesla coil. Tesla coil stated that he could now take electrified magnetic energy in the ground, shoot it up to passing water-laden clouds, and pull from it energy. That there was no need to use turbines and water power and gas and oil to create energy because the energy was free and all around our planet. All you had to do was stick something up, you could pull it down, you could put it on every house, every car, and energy is free. You just go through and use it. J.P. Morgan said, "Oh no, buddy, I will pay for your research, but you should not have told me about anything being free. We give free things to poor people and cheese. This is why we give away our cheese. We don't give away our energy. We give away to the poor people anything that's harmful for them we don't want, and they'll take it. But free energy, that could be useful. Sorry, helpful." I get some water, yeah. Good booze, man. That stuff turns me on. Like that. Free energy, they didn't want. So Nikola Tesla, once he offered in 1918 to actually put a defense perimeter around the United States that he had the capability of doing it, that nothing could go through that field or come out of that field unless he lowered it. It would take 4 coils, what they call it Tesla coils, Tesla towers, and one in the middle where you would not tell, would put it inside of a mountain. And that way you had your perfect defense. Things came in when you lowered your field, things went out when you didn't. And they said, what is this man talking about? He set up a prototype. In the Colorado Springs, he lit up a city, a little town with 250,000 people. He said, turn off your generators and I will light your city. They left 2 generators on, both of them blew sky high. He had a little tower 50 miles away, and he ran the city for 1 day. After that, they said, either you come with us or you got to go. They're using his principles. He left the United States, went up to Montreal, Canada, and for 10 years until he died right after that, very mysterious circumstances, but his assistant, Arthur Matthews, was visited by Russian scientists for a long time. They took him back, they helped him to rebuild the laboratory, and they were the first ones to start using what they call mitogenic ELF propagation. Simply means extra low frequency microwave emissions, and they found it because it was knocking out FM stations all over Canada. When they finally said, are you doing this, dear Russia? And they said, no, we don't do this. And then 2 weeks later, it stopped after having gone on for 3 years. Came out of Riga in Siberia. United States technology and Russian technology began to battle back and forth, and no one let them know what was happening. So one was creating a drought, and the other was creating a monsoon. And they finally said that we got to get together and discuss things unilaterally. You said, and you thought that the Russian army disbanded when the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic went out of existence? No, they just got stronger. Now they don't have to pay any taxes like you do. Now all their things are devoted to what they wanted to. The United States gives them money because they wanted some of the Tesla principles that they refused to pay the man for when he offered it to them. Just like George Washington Carver. No difference. They're creating the weather, folks. They can cause droughts, they can cause floods, they can cause monsoons, they can cause hurricanes, and that is the most deadly weapon that already has happened in World War III, which started back in 1959 and is growing. When they discovered weather modification. I love the word they use, modification. That's why you're paying so much for crops. That's why you can't even get McIntosh apples now. That's why they're genetically mutating, because all of the things, even the bees, which were supposed to cross-pollinate, they messed them up. I want to warn you too, by the way, you know they got those bees that were coming here, they're in Texas now. They've already attacked 13 people, that's an unlucky number. Those killer bees from Africa, you know those crazed Africans, you know about them, those crazed Africans, right? Crazy African bees. Hong Kong flu, African flu, porky flu. You're supposed to laugh at that. You're not with me this day. See that? You're not laughing. If you don't laugh, you know what you have to do. You're gonna cry. You better laugh. Anthrax, AIDS, and hepatitis. Have you got your shots recently? You can't go to school, you can't go to work, you can't get insurance, people are going to hate you, they don't like you, you're going to go home and flick your teeth and cry if you don't get those shots. Free shots. Now we got drive-by shootings in Chicago, you don't have that in Detroit, I know that. And you definitely don't have the kind we have. You can roll down your window, put out your arm, go up to a neighborhood Walgreens or Osco, stick it out and you get your shots. Drive-by shooting. You know they got it from the gangs. You know that's where they got it from. Drive-by shootings. I'm serious as a heart attack, folks. You can go to a movie store show, you can give blood, you can get shots. You go to a restaurant, you can give blood, you get shots. You go to any auditorium, you can get blood and get shots. You go to school, you can get blood and get shots. The government loves you. They don't want their citizens without their shots. Now, what you have to really worry about, though, are these little 2 and 3-year-olds. I mean, these hip 3-year-olds. Hey, baby, I want some. Oh, honey, I might give you some. 2.5, 3-year-olds. They're sexual maniacs. You're looking at me like that, folks. You're looking at me, I can tell. I told you I was neurotic. Why you questioned me?
I know.
But did you question the government by asking why you give hepatitis B and C shots to 2.5-year-olds?
Yes.
Sexually promiscuous 2.5-year-olds. Get it on, baby. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why they give it to them, isn't it? That's what hepatitis B and C is for. Right? And 2.5-year-olds and well, they said pre-kindergarten. You tell me what age that is. Help me, I'm done. Help the blind, folks. Otherwise, why would you insist that 2.5- and 3-year-old kids get hepatitis B and C shots? Explain to me. I don't understand. Help me. I don't want to be neurotic. Help me. And you were taking them there to get them. Help you? I mean, no. Help us. Hepatitis B. Anthrax. The last time I heard lying, cheating, scandalous, Louis Pasteur brought that mess about. When I was teaching history, I tried to get the kids, don't like Einstein, hate Louis Pasteur, and despise Edison. And then I went on to tell them why, how they lied and cheat and everything else. Scoundrels. But they didn't listen, they still honor him. But Louis Pasteur, with the great anthrax epidemic, 1890 and so over in Europe, got rid of anthrax, which is hoof and mouth disease, cow disease, thing that went with cattle and livestock. He got rid of it by killing off all the daggone livestock over in Europe. 90% of the livestock was gone. That's why you got Jersey cows and all over there and all this. They had to send them in for the United States, back over there. That's why he got rid of it. But he told you that it was through what they call pasteurization, and it came up with what? Inoculations and vaccinations. And people have been sick ever since. And you're going to get sicker as long as you take it. Got a whole thing on that. AIDS what it is, what it isn't, and AIDS the update. And I'll tell you the truth about what they're doing in these laboratories. Let me just tell you one before we move away from this one. Even if your favorite doctor who's been in your family and you love the most and wears a great white token is a very ingenious person, he does not manufacture the pharmaceuticals that he's used. He is not licensed to do so. They come from laboratories, Eli Lilly, Squibb, and on down the line. They come from industrial pharmaceutical complexes, politically controlled. And when that vat of serum comes in, and they attach it to the syringe, he doesn't know, she doesn't know any more what's in it than you do. And in fact, they're not supposed to biologically contaminate. They're supposed to put it in a certain temperature device and use it only when the client demands. You know what they found in some of them? Can you guess what they found in some of them? Helixes. Helixes with chromosomes embedded on them on chips that they shoot into the body. Biologically manufactured, altered helixes embedded on microchips that are in not the daggone syringe, but in the vial that they attach the syringe on, and they shoot it into your body. And nobody knows what these chips are saying. You know, chips talk.
They do.
They talk in computers, and they'll talk in you. They might even talk for you. Hear what I just said? I'll repeat that again, because I know you're not hearing me tonight. They may even talk for you. Helix, that is what your chromosomes are embedded on in your gene pool. In each cell, in each little gene, your DNA and RNA, ribonucleic acid, dinucleic acid, all these things are embedded on these little coils, little coil things. And on each spacing, there are chromosomes. Chromosomes, you heard about Y chromosome, X chromosome, male, female. They tell you your characteristics, what you're supposed to do, what you look like, and they control your cell growth. They control your organs and the hormones that they secrete. They can do anything. And if lodged in specific areas, they can even think for you because they cut off your ability to use logical, rational thinking, or they amplify paranoia or anything they want to do. When you start doing that, you can control populations. Why in the world do you really think they're anxious to give you all these shots? Now come on, let's get down to if you're a nut a fool, or neurotic like me. When has the government ever given you anything free that you didn't pay for? Shall I repeat that again? When has the government ever given you anything free that you did not pay for? Whether you pay for it now or whether you pay for it later, you will pay. White man speak with sport tone. Truer words were never spoken. So I can run this one off. I can go there a long way. I really want to go further with this. We'll go down. Congressional tax on the presidency. I'm going to run through that so fast it's going to make your head swim. A big ploy. First they had to have O.J. Then they had to have Clinton. Every 2 years they got to bring you something so you don't watch what's really happening and you watch the big soap.
That's right.
They've got you so conditioned to soap. And by the way, I understand more men, according to their polls, it must be white men, watch soaps than women. That amazed me too. There were fights that broke out and people are in court because of what happened in their family. Oh, not their immediate family, their TV family. They fell out about who didn't do it to who, when they should have done it, and how they looked. Come on, get a life. No, get 2 lives. A fight in a black family about what happened on a wonderful soap opera? Come on. You must have taken those shots. Whether you go back and get the martinis and the booze and the straight gin, no. Yeah, I'm neurotic. You're gonna be that way soon. Wait. Whoever Monica Lewinsky was, well, she's changed now, physically and mentally. Most of the Pentagon loved. She was all over the Pentagon before she was all into him. Truth be known, by our understanding from some different reporters and stuff, she was a carrier of the good white stuff to the people at the Pentagon, and that way. She was a carrier. Not of sex, but of something better than sex. You know, better than sex. The great white horse. You know why Rudolph and Clinton have things in common, don't you? They both have big, red, shiny noses. And they both lead teams. And they both bring gifts down your chimney if you're not up. Lost it, didn't it? You haven't heard the report that your president is a drug eat? You haven't heard that, huh? I don't know why not. In all the papers, I got about 5 clippers over there about his big red nose. And people who do drugs don't do too much sex successfully. So you know that was a great big ploy. And you bought it. But during that time, you have had 483 different companies to go out of business and merge. You've had the stock go up and down when Greenspan said it wasn't going to move. Now, when somebody is bigger than the Federal Reserve, and as Greenspan says, we're going to think about raising interest rates, and the stock market collapses, if you understand anything about the market and Wall Street and LaSalle Street, then you know there's some force bigger than Greenspan. And when Greenspan speaks, just like when J.F. Hutton spoke, everybody trembles. He's the new god in town, didn't you know that? They can't control their own markets. Who does? Who benefits? Changing gun laws. In my city, that's Chicago, Illinois, may it rest in peace, you better not shoot at somebody in your house shooting at you, and if you hit them, you got 10 years. If they shoot you, they will get a trial and they'll dispense justice.
You get the self-defense.
No self-defense.
Maybe you didn't hear what I just said.
I heard you say
Clearly.
In Commerce Secretary's brother's city, if you pull a gun and shoot somebody in your house, you get automatically 10 years. If they die, 10 years is the minimum. If they shoot you, they get prosecuted. Because of Columbine, because of all these things, these terrorists that in the cities and stuff in the United States, and the packet nukes, satchel nukes, briefcase nukes, and all the terrorist laws that while you were watching what happened to Clinton, Congress passed, they passed those. You've got so many laws now that make the Constitution of the United States of America a joke. One thing that those founding fathers that killed my father said, don't let it happen to our fathers. For our father may be in heaven, but our other fathers are in Europe and they're over here and we don't want them killed. What am I simply saying? When they broke away and formed their 13 colonies, they formed a beautiful thing that what happened to them over there, because the scum of Europe came here. From Newgate Marshalsea prison, they came here. From debtors and indentured services, they came here. The mercenaries came here. Everything Europe didn't want, including the pilgrims of the Church of England, couldn't stand and said, go away. They set up laws so what happened there would not happen here again. And one of the first things they said was a right to bear arms. Not only was it a constitutional law, it was an amended right. Through executive orders, and while you watched Monica and Clint, they passed laws now that have made the Constitution a big joke. And you better watch what you carry while they carry anything. All political servants can carry guns. Well, you didn't know that. All political elected persons can carry, to hold office, you can carry guns. They don't have to worry about it. They got their guns, their pieces, their bodyguards. If one of you has a bodyguard, I know they're waiting outside, right? Armor plated. Who benefits by you giving away your right to bear arms? By you not being able to defend your home? Who benefits? You? Somebody comes into your home, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a grandma, you're a ma, you're a wife, you're a husband, and you're gonna let somebody hurt your people and you got a gun there and you're not gonna use it? Forget that. That person is dead or I am dead. There's no question. If they won't talk and listen to reason, when they pull it, they better use it. But when you use it, you get the time. Who benefits? The increasing publicized fear of sun radiation, solar flares, and solar prominences. That's all you're going to be hearing about now, is the new sunshine. Before, it used to be you go up in the back hills and you make your little bootleg shine. And now you look out and you're going to see sunshine. Boloids, solar prominences, solar flares, what do they call it? CMEs? What do they call that thing? See, Central, they got a whole new name for it. That's in the other section over there. Oh, I forgot, they got a word. Anyway, I'll get back to it again. But anyway, they're worried about the sun. They're worrying about prominences coming from the sun. They're saying that the sun is now shooting out solar prominences so fast, and the earth is just being missed. It's like somebody playing in a shooting range. It's a flamethrower. That this is disrupting the asteroid belt. That there are many asteroids and meteors that may come from fragmentized asteroids that may be heading this way. They've got the Eneids coming in November, another swarm of meteors and stuff coming, and they're talking about possible boloids that they're seeing out there in Alpha Centauri, in a place called Centaur Eno, or something like this, some of these little galaxies over there. Everything they say is headed this way, and that our sun is reacting, flaring up. They're saying that this summer, all bets are off. Everywhere you look, and if you turn on the radio and TV, you're going to see it in every news report and all about what our sun is doing. They're saying all of this as I tell you, and when I say this one, don't you dare leave, don't you walk out on me, don't you even think about it, that the sun is not hot and the sun is not even bright. And they've lied to you about that too. Oh no, I told you don't you leave, now you promised me. You promised. Sun's not hot, sun's not bright, and I'm not a fool. I never said I was psychotic, I said I was what? Neurotic. There's not a psychotic bone in my body. Let me just throw out some examples to you, and I want you to listen to me and think. Think for yourself, not by what some professor or some control apparatus, spin artist is making you say. The sun is hot and bright. We're taught this in school. That's why when the Russian cosmonauts and the American astronauts zoomed up in these great big jets to all the money that they spent from Cape Canaveral and Riga and Siberia and everything else, they got out there and they talked about the darkness of outer space. The darkness of outer space. They talked about the cold, dank darkness of outer space. Cold, frigid. They say in these astronomical journals that the sun is over 280 times larger than our little Earth, with room to spare, and that's for the diameter of the sun. Here's little Earth, here's big sun, you go off and you can't find the sun. They say that Alpha Centauri, Booty, Epsilon, and Arcturus, third magnitude giants, are first magnitude wonderful things compared to our third magnitude dwarf sun. They can't find the sun when they get out there. They had a whole series, Lost in Space, because they couldn't get reference, and they followed Alpha Centauri because it was brighter than the sun and they got lost. Come on, folks. The speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. Newtonian physics and some guy named A, I forget his name now, stated out, and that's what they use, the speed of light, all their physics, from quantum physics to plasma physics. Speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. They say that these solar prominences, these solar flares, can whoosh out from the sun 250,000 miles in a second of time. They say that they can hit the orbital path, and the sun is supposed to be 93 million miles away, and they can get over there 10 minutes. Stop and think. Think. Stop listening to them and think. Create this beautiful humanitarian people. Think. If the sun is a combustible, whatever it is, burning hydrogen and helium, this is what they say, to create heat. Hydrogen and helium, to me, are elements. They're the first two on the table of elements, hydrogen and helium. It's converting one, burning the other, and then swooshing it out 250,000 miles in a second of time. Then they're saying that light, which travels at 186,000 miles a second, because they told me so, and they know, is being beat in its race by an element which is traveling 250,000 miles in a second, which means that their physics ain't worth doodly squat. Because if an element can travel faster than light, then they're a big fool, and they think I'm a big fool, because no kind of physics is going to work. How can you spin an element through a cyclotron and speed it up to the speed of light if it's already going faster than light? What are they wasting your money for, and why are you paying them? They're liars, and they don't know, and you have believed them so long you won't think for yourself. You're going to have to wake up this year as to what really is going on. Comets, meteors pass through the corona of the sun and are not burned up. Yet the sun on its surface is 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit and 35 million degrees inward. Then how can something go against the sun, through the sun, past the corona of the sun and are not burned up. They speed on toward you, talking about hitting you, coming into your solar system through the sun. They're lying to you. They don't know. You think they know. You give them the power. They don't have it. What they're worried about is the sun is reversing its polarity, has reversed it, finished in 1959, is giving off magnetic energy, magnetic propagations, and is knocking out their electrical apparatus and all their little fun tubes. And they're going crazy. They even created Y2K, which you also are buying, so that when their little things fold down and won't work, they'll say it's because we, gods, made an error. There was only one error made in this system, and they're talking every day. I just wonder how long they're going to be allowed to. Y2K is a big lie, but it's going to happen because they want it to happen. Who benefits?
Rich.
Who benefits? Why are you being told lies? Why are you being shot up literally and figuratively? Why do you have no constitutional rights? But anyway, you already know that through the Dred Scott amendments you did anyway, right? That's why they have the voting rights bill. You realize that? You're really not citizens if it ever comes down to that and they ever take you to court. You realize that, right? Thank you. Don't forget that. Who benefits? Last of all, worldwide attacks by youth on educational facilities and schools. Did you know that the investigating CIA people who went into Columbine, the chief investigative officer, Edmund Dwyer, and whatever his name is, I have it down there again, we can get it. His son, 2 years before, made a homemade movie which they showed at the school showing exactly what happened in Columbine 2 years later. The guys came in with trench coats. They shot up the school. The kids were in an uproar about it, and then the same thing happened 2 years later, and everybody's up in arms. And who was the one sent in to investigate it? The son, the father of the guy who made the movie. Come on, folks. You're going to have to get me here every week or every 2 weeks, and let me give you a report behind the news before you start doing some bad things, all right? You can't believe anything you read in the papers anymore. And at least read it in 3 papers and make sure. 10 o'clock news, the most managed time on the planet. And if you doubt it, try to turn to a commercial on another station once they get your mind. They all show commercials at the same time. They just rotate them. They turn the news backwards, and that's about it. It's all managed. Why? Because they are part of the New World Order, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations. Every owner, every producer, every manager, everybody is in place all ready to control your minds. Who benefits? The movie Matrix came out. And in Matrix, they introduced the black trench coat. And when he became Superman, the one, you know it. What was his name? What was the Matrix dude's name that led the whole movie? Neo. Transpositions, O-N-E, N-E-O. Neo is new, the one. And at the end, after he got the kiss from the Trinity, he became the one. On the good ship Nebuchadnezzar. Read your Bible. Nebuchadnezzar was a god who wanted what? To understand and control his dreams. To understand and control his dreams. Folks, they're giving you messages, good and bad, but you've been so educated. That's right. You can't think. They gave you a heavy message there, and in the corner of most of those Cinemarks and other things that had those big screens with the digital sounds and digital projection devices, they had pulses in the left-hand side. And when those young encrypted, implanted, biochip individuals saw it, they acted. The black trench coat was the signal, and they donned their trench coats and they wore. All these are youths around the world that are doing these crazy things.
That's right.
I got to read this to you. Didn't bring this far not to. Where are these things? Actor Sharon Stone, who played a gunslinger in The Quick and the Dead Thursday, said she has given up her guns and urged other Americans to do the same thing to make this country safer. Columbine shifted the bases. A triumphant gun control advocates of a Republican-controlled Senate was improbable at best until the shootings at the Colorado High School a month ago caused a marked shift in public opinion. A shooting at Atlanta area high school earlier today gave fresh impetus to the bill. They have had shootings in, where is this thing? There's so much stuff I can't get it. They had one in Accra, Ghana in April. Didn't hear about that one, did you? No, we missed that one at a high school. 7 guys came in, killed 3 people. They had one in Vilnius, Lithuania. 5 girls committed 3 acts of robbery and beat up their parents. 5 girls, 13 and 16, between those ages. Tabor, Alberta, a 14-year-old high school dropout carrying a gun and a grudge, has managed to spread fear, insecurity, shock, and grief, not only through this small Alberta community, but right across the country. The youth fired 4 shots from a .22 caliber rifle. 1 student was killed, 3 others were injured, and he threatened to go and kill his mother and father. I mean, folks, who benefits? Who benefits? Tell you who benefits after we take a break. I'm going to give you a whole layout of who benefits after the break. But I'll say this to you, in case some of you dare leave or just have to go, and I hope you stay with me. I came a long way. I'll be gone tomorrow. You can rest. They're worried about our sun, not because of what they're telling you, but because the sun is putting out energy, magnetic frequency. The sun is not hot and bright, it is a huge energy transmitter. It used to be a step-down transformer, stepping down energy from the cosmos, what they called gamma waves and cosmic waves, down to a useful energy level that you could use and it wouldn't burn you up and kill you. From 59 on, it's been letting more of this background energy come in, and it's coming in on what they call a magnetic frequency. Energy patterns that are magnetic. Magnetism is a higher frequency than electricity. If you don't doubt that, or if you doubt that, take a magnet and hold it to the back of your computer. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do that to somebody you don't like. If I don't like somebody, I have a way with me, you know. Magnets and computers, they get along? No. I won't even say that. They don't get along. The magnets are coming, tra-la, tra-la. The electrics are going, ba-ba, ba-ba. They can do nothing about it. They should try to do nothing about it. But they're going to try to do something about it. Thank you very much. Hope it made you think. Please don't go away. By the way, on your break too, I did carry some products, not like I usually do, because at our center you can order the products, we can get them to you in 3 days' time. But I did bring a lot of the tapes with specifics about some of the things you've heard. You've got a tape list, it's got some 90 different tapes on it. I also brought some diodes, which you will see can also help protect you from some of the radiation that's going to be coming in that is electrical. Okay? Thank you again.
How long is the break?
I don't know, you have to tell them how long the break.
Yeah, we're going to take like 20 minutes. And I took the opportunity to go get some water. So we have some water back there at the third table that, you know, just, yeah, and some ice too is in the cooler, so, you know, yeah, oh yeah, necessary, you know, because we was going to be falling out, you know. And please check out the products that the vendors have, you know, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh yeah, before Dr. Blair comes up, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. My complaint was not with the Community Coalition. I was asking everybody to check out their backers, the Black Slate, which is the political arm of the Shrine. You know, because if you're going to have somebody do something, then you should have them do it right. And they knew the forces that were aligned against them. They should have been ready to block the blow, either get out the way or hit back with their own. And they weren't able to do that, you know. So something's wrong somewhere.
Not only that, but I mean,
Speak a little louder.
not only that, but I mean, somebody should have been looking to see Coleman Young and Howdy Doody and the Cisco Kid. They had all kinds of crazy signatures on
Yeah,
it.
oh, see, but just the fact that the signatures were so crazy, they were probably faked by people who were planted inside. But like, you know, we all know about COINTELPRO. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. So you got to be ready for it and weed out them people and, you know, have a reasonable, logical excuse or something. I mean, you know, hey, as politically sophisticated as the Black Slate is, and they didn't know what to do. It don't add up.
What they say, they expected to see some kind of signatures like that, but they weren't going to do signatures because of those. And I think it was overemphasized how many bad signatures there were. They come on the radio, 88.1 FM every Wednesday, Thursday, 5 to 6, and I heard a lot of them.
And so you said they overemphasized the bad signatures, you said, right?
The glass is half full. It's not half empty. They got 51,000 legitimate signatures. And they're still there.
So how many did they need in order for the measure to be put to a balance?
57,000.
And they found a lot of
Yeah.
Some guy was disqualified because they said he was not a registered voter, but he is a registered voter. He got validation from Jackie Curry, and they had thrown out 20 sheets of signatures.
The battle is not over.
It's not over. That's
no.
good.
It's not over.
That's good, but they sure took a licking this time.
Won't take it.
But they couldn't find the signatures. They had
Gee, some of you came back.
Hey, nobody.
Give you a hand. You came back. I thought possibly I had frightened you away or made you wake up, and unlike the ostrich, you wanted all parts of your body covered. Huh?
Do it out there, yes.
All right. Let me say this too, because we're going to really go off on a drum roll now. He said at the beginning of the first lecture, I don't like to call it lecture, I like to call it presentation, discussion, interaction, that normally Dr. Blair is way out. This time he's going to show it to be very practical. Not going to be practical now. We're going way out. Okay? Way out. Okay? Practicality left you with the question, who benefits? Now, obviously, on any of those things, you were not the beneficiaries.
That's right.
Right? Let me say a few other things before I get on this roll. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I can take them back to the house, take them over to the center, and possibly sell them with orders. I'd like to sell most of them before I leave. I get tired of those people x-raying them. When I go through those machines, but sometimes it's going to denigrate that. Nobody bought my videotapes, so I guess they must have caught too much or they're not interesting. I don't know. But you hurt my feelings. Well, say, let's have a deal. We'll probably try to see on some tape we make some deals on it. But we'll see what's what. But more than that, I didn't get into my diodes. And diodes are the things that you're going to hear as much about as you do magnets. I hope you're buying magnets from Brother King. You buy some from me. Hope you buy diodes. Diodes will be everybody's new magnet this year, and as we get into past the year 2000. Why? Because diodes protect you from radiation. They protect you from man-made electrical radiation, and that's what electricity is, man-made. They protect you from cell phones. And every time you pull up a cell phone without a diode, you're frying your brain and taking a chance of immunism and tumors. And definitely your hair will stop growing and turn white. Every time that you pick up a cordless phone, you're doing just about the same thing, plus you're also messing with the thyroid gland and the heart muscle, or pump, or whatever you want to call it. It's a big debate about the heart nowadays. Every time you sit under a hairdryer for an hour, you're going to lose 3/4 of your hair life force. And that not only that, but it fries the neuron centers in the brain and actuates what they call the dendrites. Those are little things, along with the glia, that support the neuron centers that you think with. It cuts down on your spiritualness and stops you from dreaming in color. Every time that you use a microwave piece of food, you ought to hit yourself. What you ought to do is to give microwaves to your worst enemies for presents. Yes. Understand the USDA and the FDA and the Underwriters Laboratory reports on all interlocking devices on that. Every time you break the interlock, there's at least 1/4 of a second bleed out. Doesn't take much for radiation to enter. Most of you have those things in your kitchens, along with your Frigidaires. And the back of those are copper coils with freon gas, which is the best conductor of that kind of energy you ever heard of. So what you don't know can't hurt you, but it might put you in your grave. A man by the name of Reginald Lewis at Best Foods, CEO, multimillionaire on Pan-Africanism, true brother. And he was so busy, literally, that he wanted one of the first cell phones to come out, and he never wanted to lose a cell. He didn't want anything putting it down, so they beamed him like mad. Had his yearly checkup in January, died of an advanced embolism and a tumor in May, because he was getting his signals mixed. He just didn't know. What you don't know can't hurt you. It's put you in your grave. You need diodes. I'm going to be selling more and more diodes. I've got people coming from Africa. I've got them coming from Guinea-Bissau. I've got one coming from Botswana land. I've got some people over in Demona who are talking about getting my diodes. We're talking. I'm an attorney talking when I go back from here. Those are diodes. Here's what diodes are, sir. These are diodes. This is what you call a slim pocket diode. I don't have a pocket here now, that's why I have it out. Slips into the pocket. You get one, you put it on your left. You get two, put it on the right. Three, back on your left, or right. It protects your field by setting up a concentrated field protective energy 18 inches out from the body if you have two, 12 inches out if you have one. Okay? Different prices, $27.95, $28.95, and $29.95. We're still trying to keep it below 30 bucks. Okay? And unless you use them, you never have to buy another one, because our diodes charge up in broad spectrum sunlight. You put them out, after you use them for 10 days a week, put them out in the sunshine about 6 minutes for every hour you're going to use. Put it in for 1 day, use it for about 3 days. It charges up in broad spectrum light. You happen to have those op lamps. Some of you may be very sophisticated technologists. Op lamps will do it because it gives you at least 7 spectrums of light. It wants direct sunlight. Put it in like this, charges up. This is an equipment diode. No, this is the, this is the equipment diode. This goes on the back of your TV set, your computer, your your microwave oven, your hair dryer. What else you got? Your VCR, your fixture, so on and so forth again. And it causes that oscillating energy, which is what they call radiation energy, to go down and come at you. Why radiation is so harmful, radiation does not have a specific high and low, a crest and trough, a wave pattern. It vibrates, it shoots, it goes every direction. Your body can adjust to almost anything. You'd be surprised what your bodies can adjust to if it has a pattern and a frequency. But oscillating radiation, it can't do it. And it enters the body and it can't get out. And what it does inside you is a mess. With microwave emissions, by the time you see warts and things inside, you're all messed up. Outside, rather, you're all messed up inside. It gets in there and tears you up. Soft tissue damage. Microwave, this is why it's such a hell, I have to use that word finally, of a war weapon. They're using it because it burns soft tissue inside. By the time you detect it here, you're lost. Everything is melted inside. You're going to find people melting now. They won't even understand. They'll be smelling like sulfur inside. That sulfur we have is organic sulfur. What that's creating is a carbonized sulfur, plus things are burning up inside, especially your brain, spinal cord. I mean, it's not a joke what they come up with now. That's what I tell you.
In the sun, if you stand in the sun, isn't it possible to war on that kind of radiation? I mean, if you say, if you meditate in the sun, direct sunlight, for black people, is it possible to avoid that kind of radiation?
Depends on the kind of radiation and depends on the black person. One thing black people have in common is melanin. One thing that melanin has in common is the pineal gland. Two things that melanin and the pineal gland has, it can send melanin in the form of corpuscles of what to a site on your skin, what they call melanocytes. Wherever you have that melanin in a skin cell, blood cell, muscle cell, whatever cell, it can take radiation. It will deepen in its charcoaling ability. It will get darker, its pigmentation, and send that all around, hopefully, the epidermal tissue so it doesn't get into the soft tissue. So that's why when they say can black people tan, of course black people can tan. You turn charcoal real black before it lets you cook your internal organs. If you cannot tan, you're subject to ultraviolet light and everything else like that. But understand one thing. Direct light from the sun is magnetic in frequency, and even though it wasn't completely before 1959, since 1959, it is highly magnetic. Electrical propagations have alternating currents. They do not keep the same pattern. So, where you, as a black person or anyone who is dark-skinned, can tan and can get black, can protect yourself from that, it's not a direct protectorate from microwave emissions. You see, one is what they call extra low frequency parent rays. The other is man-made propagations by alternating electricity. Microwave emission, microburst, pulsing and bursting like that. That can do anybody damage. Plus the fact, when it stores in food that you eat, it gets past the thermal epidermal barrier. When it's given in shots, it gets past that. And some of the shots people are taking, and you know it, are radioactive cobalt shots. They're even drinking barium and radium to get photographed. We're so intelligent that we believe what the great white coat say. And we're drinking radioactive things so they can shoot rays to us. So yes, definitely, a black man can stay in the sun. That's why Africa was there. But understand, not just Africa, because black men, well, there's another thing, we go on a big tangent on history. Black men did not just come, and black women did not just come from Africa. They came from all over the planet. That's a lie they try to say. There was no Africa anyway to the 10th Pope, but that's not even going all that. When you take things internally, it will work on your glands and on your organs, bypassing the skin barrier. The skin is an organ. But you bypass the organ of protection called the skin by taking drugs and getting shots. And these things weaken the whole immune system. One of the things, I'm a whole different thing now. One of the things that they teach us wrongly is miseducation. Chancellor Wisdom is right, miseducation of Negroid people, is that they teach us that the master gland of the body is the pituitary gland. It is not. Never could be. Why? Because it gets its orders from the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the seat of the soul. Some people on this planet are soulless, as we're about to get into. If you have no soul, then you have no pineal gland, no need for it. It's the Saul man. If you remember the parable in the Bible saying King Solomon, the son of man, the son man, Solomon, wise man, everything on earth he mastered, but knew there was more. And Nebuchadnezzar said again, if I could only live in my state of virtuality of dreams and understand them, I'd know it's what. Everything there is there, but now we're going to start getting truth out of these books. and truth out of these scholars, and truth out of these organizations that have taught to be reaped of truth. Inside your body have all the glands to work. 12 apostles, 12 glands, 12 whatever you want, again, it's right there. And when they work together, you have a beautiful presentation. But when you begin to disrupt one, others are being disrupted. The pineal gland now is probably the most important gland we have in our bodies, because it can take light from the sun. It can bring it down, just like the king's chamber and the pyramid, the crystal on the top. The crystal is that pineal gland, big pine cone. It works to tell the pituitary gland what kind of ACTH, what other types it should send out, controls all the body. It helps you to sleep comfortably at night. It produces melanin. They're selling black people melatonin, and some black people have bought it. My people, I cannot understand, but you're here. Now, once you get the melanin working in the pineal gland, it produces what they call peroxidase, which then produces zeronase. Zeronate is a gas. If you know what it does in a gas outside the body. Inside the body, it helps the body to renew. It helps the body to trigger deeper responses and organized responses to any invasion, anything that's out of whack. And it lets all the body take up this character. When it works in the brain, it helps you to be psychic. It helps you to dream in color and remember your dreams. It lets you sleep 3.5 to 4 hours a night, and that's all you need. Spends the rest of the time healing the body, healing the spirit body and the soul, and letting you go forth. But every time you've got these unturnable awful TVs, because you can't turn off your TV anymore. You can unplug it, it won't go off if you charge it up. It stays on broadcasting. They have all these glow-in-the-dark watches and glow-in-the-dark radium-filled stuff. I don't even want to go there. We'd be here forever. But by city municipal laws, each one of your rooms is supposed to have at least 3 outlets, or some say 4 outlets, 1 on each wall. Each one of the outlets is constantly discharging 12 inches out radiation. That's why when you plug it in, things work. It never goes off. In your concrete and steel buildings, in which we love to do business, you have what? Concrete with pylons of steel set in and a bed. Sometimes you even use railroad cars if it's by water, which means you've got metal at your base. Then they put up the steel girders and they put the lathing, again, they have the girders going cross beams. Then they put on your roof. Now you got a whole metal encasement with concrete, asphalt. Then you embed in that coaxial cables for computers. They got a computer cooling room. On the top, they got your water supply. They got your parabolic cable up there for your deep dishes and cable. I mean, the whole building is a walking nightmare of electricity, radiating everybody coming in and out. Then they run elevators up in a shaft to connect it down to make sure, and put interlocks on it that you step out of. And then they got generators on there, and I told you I'm nobody. Everything I see is madness. But, and I thank you, sir, and I should have gone off on a tangent, but you hit a sore spot. That's another lecture I go to. But what we have there, believe me, I wouldn't sell it if I didn't think it would help. I know it helps. I have tested. We can prove kinesiology. You don't even have to get the ball Dermatron machine or the fax machine by FDA. Just plain kinesiology, reflex testing. We need diodes. We
I
need.
noticed you have this magnet on your arm.
You notice a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that have medicinal purposes also?
I hope.
I'm sorry, that. What role does that play?
This is a magnetic copper bracelet plated with gold. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets in it. Each one 1,000 Gauss. That's 4,000 Gauss of magnetism on my right arm. This one is a watch. It's a magnetic watch with 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets, 1,000 Gauss. That's 4,000 Gauss on my leader arm or left arm to my circulatory system. I have 8,000 Gauss constantly feeding my body. That's supposed to make me think better, help me to go off and stay younger, help me to stay up and talk to people for 5 and 6 hours and not have to refer to too many notes. It's supposed to help me renew my energies and so on and so forth again. I believe it. What it actually does without all the hype or food. Magnets, again, contact the metal in your body in turn. What happens is that the blood itself flows through, and the red corpuscles, again, have oxygen capability. Okay? There's iron in the red corpuscles. oxygen follows iron. The magnet contacts the iron, therefore when it pulls the iron, it's pulling more oxygen. And it immediately aligns all of your blood, all the oxygen in your blood in one direction, and all your blood corpuscles flow in one direction, which means you speed up healing, you speed up if you have any kind of respiratory diseases, you start getting more oxygen to the knee, and so on again like that. And with magnets, you can actually pull to an area concentrated oxygenated blood, which speeds up anybody's healing. Then there are other more even sophisticated things that magnets can do, just like there are more sophisticated things that diodes can do. But those are the basics on the body. Okay?
Sorry, Mr.
You don't have to be sorry. What you asked was very intelligent, and I thank you, and it gave me a chance to talk about some more of my products. I appreciate that. Very much. Okay, but just in passing, let me just, since I showed these two, this is the other one. We have a cell phone diode. This is a cell phone diode, and you see the sheet. I've got a sheet on diode. This one goes on the back of the cell phone. It goes on the back of the old type cell phones and the cordless phones. For some of the new microphones, and these little, it sounds different, microphones, but at any rate, the little small phones and the pagers, we have a super small one that was made. And you can see on this one, I hate cell phones, and since I do use them, I'm always covering myself with diodes when I use them. You can hardly see it. I mean, you see it? That goes in the back of the small ones. It gives 90% of the energy of the large one. Put 2 of them on, 3 of them on, whatever you want. And every time you put up that antenna, you should, if you're smart, have one of these little diodes on. So we've got diodes of all ways for cell phones. We have them on fixtures, neon light, fluorescent fixtures. They also radiate the top of your head. Remember the last thing, the suture on the baby is the cranial sutures? That closes the pineal gland in, and you're constantly being bombarded. It actually robs you of energy and sends energy into the head itself. So these protect you from that also. Okay. So those are our diodes. We've got diodes with crystals. I didn't bring one. They have either there's an amethyst crystal on there, which works with the pineal gland, and diode material on the back. It protects 8 feet in a circle all around you. Sit on your TV, sit on your computer, and then we have what is called a diomid. That stands up about this high, about like that. It's made of copper plate, gold-plated copper, and it's in a double tetrahedron. That will generate 60 yards in all directions after 3.5 minutes. That protects a whole home, a floor of an office building, something like that. And then we're now in the process of getting with the manufacturer to actually build walls of the building. That's what you're going to have to survive on this planet pretty soon. Wall of the building made of a diode on the roof of the building, so radiation can't come in like that. So diodes are the coming thing. And of course, you know what happens when the demand goes up. Price will be sky high and you won't be able to get it, but that's the truth. Yes?
Quick question about the crystal diode you just said. You said it's for putting on your VCR or TV or something like that. Can you just wear it and would that come back? You know, like for instance, if I just wanted to wear it and I'm not an avid TV watcher per se. If I'm wearing it and I sit down and I happen to, allow the TV to light up, because I know you say it never turns off, would that still protect me, or would I need to put it actually on that appliance?
Well, the crystal diodes I'm talking about is a big amethyst crystal. It's about that big. And it's got either a cherub or double dolphin on top. And there's diode material base to it. So you can't wear that. That's what you sit on. It's a conversation piece. People say, oh, it's a beautiful crystal. That's great. That means they won't steal it, they won't know what's happening, but you're being protected, okay? You sit it on top of your computer, sit it on top of your cocktail table, top of your television set, top of your microwave oven. It's a beautiful crystal. But it's protecting you 8 feet in a cone all over. Okay, now the other one that we were talking about here is the one that you wear. And that's one of our newer products. I don't want to call it this out. One is rose quartz, which is the one that protects you against, it's a love thing, it's for the heart, it's compassion, it's for the circulatory system. That's a rose quartz with a gold chain. Okay? And then the other is aventurine, that's the one for health, balancing, calming. Some people call it the money stone because you think green and all this kind of stuff. But these are two things that you can wear and it fits right over the heart chakra. By the way, too, never put a magnet over your heart. The diodes you can put over your heart, but not a magnet. These again are stones like this, so that's a different kind of stone. This is the wearable stone. The other is one you sit on. Okay.
Thank you.
So we're more than welcome. If you're interested in any of our products, like I say, write us, call us, talk to me, take the card. We've been in business now for 30 years, so I don't think we're going anywhere. And the business is increasing now because people are awakening. Let me get on what I promised and what you paid for to get back to now the Nagas connection afterwards until I fall out or I get tired or I can't feed off your energies, and we can stay and talk. Where do I start?
What is the Nagas?
The Nagas connection, or the Nagas Conspiracy is what I call it, is one of the various names for a reptile, Nagas. In the Hindu Upanishads and in some of the other religious cycles, but from East India especially, they called one of the reptile gods Nagas. I like it because it's found also in the Native American. You find that word coming up more and more. Nagas, in turn, was supposedly part of the Ubaids. The Ubaids, again, roughly were what they call a pre-Sumerian culture. They live now where we call Iraq. They lived in what was referred to now as Mesopotamia I. The fact that some people worshipped gods is a fact. This has nothing to do with the universal prime creator, with the one, with the belief in the one. These are what they said gods. What they stated and believed on this planet one time was that there were a lot of superhuman type creatures around that could do God-like things, whatever that means, but some of them didn't look like the people. And most of them seemed to look like serpents or reptiles. Now, we laugh at that when we hear the Adamic type of explanation in Genesis, and so we take it with a grain of salt or believe it completely, whichever. It's not the only religion that refers to have influenced by serpents, upright walking serpents, scaly reptilian type serpents. And what is very interesting, when you begin to do a little review, you find that in Central America, they had what they call Quetzalcoatl, the flying serpent, the flying dragon, if you would, the god that plagued the people there from the Uxmal all the way up to Tiwanaku, from Cecil, wherever it was. They had Quetzalcoatl, the mountain flying dragon lizard god. The Hopi Indian, and you hear a lot now talking about the Hopi prophecies and the Hopi medicine men and this kind of thing, had what they call Baholinkonga, which was their flying reptile god, Baholinkonga. The ancient Egyptians had Kinep, which is said to be the serpent god, also part of the gods of Amentan, the underworld, if you would. Amongst what they would call the Phoenician people, even before the Davidian people, if you would, they had what they call Akatha demon. Some call it Akatha demon. I like to pronounce the demon portion of it again. Demons, of course, are good for demonstrations. And don't laugh at that word. If you break down the word demonstration, you will see strata and ions of demons. And that's what we manifest, strata and ions of demons, every time we demonstrate. We want to see it on the physical plane, something that we can understand. We ionize and ratify stratas of demons, demon strata. Dambalawido is another that they used, of course, in both Africa and in Brazil, especially those Africans that came over to the western portions of Brazil, again, and under the thing that we call now voodoo. As you know, again, there's no such thing as voodoo. It's Baudal, the chief god of the Yoruba, the highest on that. And you don't laugh and joke when you say the word Baudal, because thoughts are things and intonations set up vibrations. And if they're remembered, they can do evoking. I don't know whether you believe that or not. I've seen it done. I do believe it. So again, but these are words, and they all said that these gods looked serpent-like, reptile-like. You had amongst the Hebrews, Nakushta, serpent god, the serpent one, the dragon, if you would. You had again in Britain, the Hugh, of which we get the word human. That's why on my tapes you always hear me say, I do not call man man. if man is human. I do not call human man if he is human. And again, you've got even a crossword between that, mankind. All three different things which we interchange, and they should not be interchanged. But Hu meant dragon ruler. Hu, the god of the dragons, the chief god of the dragons, if you would. They use it in Britain, and again. In Greece, they have oops. Every word where we get our word oops from? It's oops. You're calling on the dragon god. They call him oops. Oops. It's not an acronym. It's actually the word oops. In China, loaded with dragons. They have festivals of dragons. They have on their pantilias and some of their big cathedrals, if you would, and that's not the word they use. They use it, I forget the name they use, but Osaka. They have a lot of these cathedrals and things that are there, the temples of the gods. And one of their gods that they feared was the dragon god. So much so that they have festivals of dragons, festivals of light and everything else, still, because the dragon was so much embedded into their consciousness. In Malaysia, they had Moldo, the dragon, the serpent from the underworld. Children in the forest and caves in Malaysia, they said, do not stay out in the dark. Do not stay out when the sun is not hot, because reptiles don't like a lot of hot sun. But they had these dragon gods, if you would. In Scandinavia, they had Odin. I could go on and on. Every culture has had their dragons, and dragons that were so feared or respected or whatever, these reptiles, that they were embedded in the culture, in songs and myth and everything else. In the island of Malta, roughly in the 1930s, 1939, they closed it. It used to be open to tourists. They closed it when 26 school children and school marms and the people who went to try to save them disappeared after they saw giant creatures down there. They looked bipedal. And there were talks about this and scandals, and pretty soon they closed the island of Malta down to tourists for 10 years, and you can't go into the cave section of Malta to this day. They had also in these areas what they call the Hal Safini catacombs. The Hal Safini catacombs are just like the catacombs over there in, the Catholic bastion, I can't think. Rome, yeah. And in these catacombs, they have esophagus, and they have little creatures, if you would. Even the dead popes are there. But have you ever seen the pictures and the little prints? Dead popes are no bigger than that. Some of them. Dead popes. They have found creatures in tombs in Colorado and mountains, 3 inches tall, perfectly formed bipedal, head and shoulders. This planet reeks with wonders. You ever read that book, Forbidden Archaeology? If it doesn't fit the archaeologist's paybook and funding organization, you don't report it. You take it, put it in your basement, and talk amongst it with your peers, but the press and the people never hear about it. All of these things simply let you know that on this planet at one time, serpents were respected and feared. Reptiles were respected and feared. And suddenly, you have the Budweiser commercial. Suddenly, you have Mutant Ninja Turtles. And kids love suddenly reptilians. Suddenly, you have Dino the dinosaur. Now you got dinoids. Our culture is beginning to go oops over reptoids and dinoids. And we think it's an accident. We had a movie not too long ago. What was it called? The first one had Arnold Schwarzenegger, second had the black actor, or these predators.
Predator.
And when you finally saw them, upright walking serpents with dreads.
Right.
Yep.
That's all it was.
Yeah, it was.
In the new Star Wars, you got, what is it, Jabba, not Jabba the Hutt, Jabba Wookiee or something, talking all the mishka about that old pig Latin. Oh man, now all the kids gonna be, I'm sorry, kids is a term for a small goat, calf. It got me saying kids. It ain't brainwashing, man. Now all these young people gonna be talking, small, you been your wacky. You know, I mean, don't know what I said. Oh man, I said, wow, here we did it again. You watch, that's what they're gonna do. They go back to pig Latin. There is a controlling force at work on this planet that is invasive, pervasive, offensive, diabolical.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't matter seemingly who you elect, doesn't matter what laws you pass. They laugh at your laws, set their own, theirs work, yours don't. They have whole societies. I understand, again, another one of our friends, again, Steve Coakley and others, I think the other brother comes through here from time to time, but they all know me. Whole societies that are based on dragon reptile worship and are part of the dragon society. They have many names, but they all work the same way. They hold allegiance to a different type of God than the one that you feel that you worship. But they don't let you know that. They don't let you know that. What they call the reptilian brotherhood is a very entrenched thing on this planet Earth. John, Gia, got so many names, it's a shame, Saros. But it's been here for a long time. If I start giving you pronunciations of years, it would only be superfluous. If I said 1 billion years, who's going to fathom 1 billion years? So if Bill Gates is worth $100 billion, $1 billion, rich man, that's all I can say. Some figures get too vast to comprehend, but they've been here a long time. This planet is not young at all. They make you think it's young. This planet has gone through a lot. And you find two key words in most of the old texts. Elves, which we get about, I think it's about 300 different words in the English Romance language. It's elves. Elders and so on again like this, the elder race. And then you have the serpent race, dracons, dragons, all the names you heard me say before. What seemingly has happened here is that at one time, the light benders and light bringers called elves came to this solar system as our sun was being reborn and putting out light. And they were here to set up this planet to seek a lot of different kind of life forms, because this was a special planet. But they were also here to set up protection against the invasion of the dinoids and reptoids, who seemingly flock on one part of this universe. It gets into a whole lot of things, that there are a lot of universes and all this. I won't go there with you. But they made a mistake, and part of their kind got caught up in a change of an a magnetic field, which our sun then changed, and they got trapped here. Some of those got trapped since they came from worlds without suns, because they could create light. They were sons of light, daughters of light. They were no-body creatures that could take on any form they wanted. Got trapped in a lower dimension and began to take on physical form, and they went inside the earth. Now, one of the things that is taught in metaphysics and occult studies, and please don't run from me when I say occult. Occult means one thing, hidden. That's all occult means. Now, whatever other transpositions and middle things you put with it, it's not what the word means. The word means hidden. Anything on this planet that's worthwhile is hidden. Clandestine. Truth is hidden on this planet. Anything that's worthwhile is hidden on this planet. But amongst that, there were sets of books and explanations that were laid out to explain to people as it went along through symbols, through petroglyphs and hieroglyphs, what was happening. Those things were destroyed, mistranslated, and the truth about what happens here has been lost to some. For others, it's a very crude awakening to see that these things seemingly still exist. It's stated that there is what is called the secret of the four corners. Four corners is an area of 4 states in the United States whose tips or edges connect: Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. There, at underground bases, are literally thousands of serpent-type creatures. This is the story, let's say again, this is the story we'll weave tonight. They have underground bases and tunnels that connect, that go all over the United States, all under the oceans, and all over our planet, underneath. That's why when they talk about Orpheus in the underworld, when they talk about Amenta and the land down under, they were not talking about Australia. When they began to talk about this, people laughed, wishgoo, so on and so forth. But certain times, certain things happen which don't have explanations. I will give you these circumstances to see if you can insert the explanation. For some of you, and I know some of you are metaphysically backgrounded, you've heard about the Tao's hum. How many of you have ever heard it? Some say the Tao's hum. How many of you have ever heard about the Tao's hum? A few hands going up, okay? It's supposed to be a hum that comes deep underground in Taos, New Mexico. From Taos, New Mexico. People say from time to time, they put their ear to the ground, they can hear humming sounds and vibrations. When Aldelio, the abbot from Cluny, Ireland, was writing his part of the holy text of the Bible, he was told by some of the crusaders who came through the hell's ports, the gates of Hercules, that on the island there, they could hear moans and groans of the people in hell, which meant moans and groans of people who were beyond the hell's port, the Rock of Gibraltar, Pillars of Hercules, gateway to the Mediterranean, which connects Africa from Europe. A lot of legends come out about that land, from sea serpents and everything else. Recently, by the way, too, Field Museum, City of Chicago, Smithsonian Institute, and the University of Madagascar brought back an 80% intact serpent for a study. Saw that movie, oh wow. What was it? Now, it's a movie that showed them bringing a carcass or something that grew in the Field Museum in Chicago. Yeah. What was it? Relic, yes, definitely relic. That shows you the same thing that's actually happening. Only thing they made it into a movie. They're brought back. It's supposed to be fossilized remains, 80% intact carcass of a sea serpent from the Straits of Madagascar, the east of Africa, the Madagascar island. They have had pairs of sea serpents attack shipping in the Straits of Madagascar, even turned over a destroyer and had a battleship to run away. The shells bounced off of it, just like in the movies. Don't hear that in the press. Why all this inference on reptiles? Commercial. Woman laying back on the Chase Lounge. Here comes an alligator crawling across the commercial bench. Your skin is rough, use it. Kids playing with turtles every year. Mutants, they said they were mutants. Mutant Ninja Turtles. All colors, all powers, all come together. But when you take it past that, we may have a problem, Houston. We may have a problem. I state that not only are these bases of these aliens all around our planet, and very much in the United States, but that many of the problems that plague the United States, from cattle mutilations to Area 51s, to Dulce and Dreamland, and all the other configurations and all the secret societies are based on holding one secret from you, that there are serpents sharing your planet with you underground. Because of certain cosmic laws laid down, they could not come to the surface too eagerly, because they would disintegrate on the surface and dry out and have to shed their skin, as serpents can do and snakes can do. And therefore they had to live away from the sun. But when our sun was altered, not so much the sun being altered, but the protective field around our earth was altered, and set up an electromagnetic field instead of a magnetic field, which meant that anything that could, for a while, as long as it pulsed energy, could stay on the surface or come to the surface and live. If you follow the characteristics of what reptiles don't like, and what any kind of a creature like that doesn't like, you'll find that there are certain things that may be very interesting, that may be helpful to you. But they don't like direct sunlight, they must have water, and they need swampland and things like this. Our mayor in the city of Chicago last year suggested that Meigs Field, if any of you understand what that is there, be turned over into a swampland. The Brookfield Zoo and another zoo there, Beacon Park Zoo, they've made into a lot of swampland and marshland. Why do you want swampland and marshlands? I have another lecture that I do called The Rewilding of America. There are certain game preserves and federalized lands now that you're not supposed to live on, grow things on, and do anything wrong with, and it's usually where you have bodies of water and wildlife and wildlands. Whole laws are being passed by Congress to set aside these federalized game preserves. You wouldn't believe some of the laws that are being passed and some of the things that are going on. There's a small town in New Mexico called Dulce. In the Romance language, Dulce means sweet. It is anything but. It is the most misnomered thing I can think of. Dulce, population 1,200 at the best, is the seat and harbinger of one of the deepest entrenched reptile civilizations on this planet. They're deep under earth. What we have not been told is that our entire under earth is connected with tunnels and caves and tubes and has more living space by 6 times than everything on the surface of this planet. And it keeps a median temperature of 60 degrees. People say it was too dark down there. If you've ever been to the Carlsbad Cabin or Mammoth Caves or so in Kentucky, you know how dark it can be. You have not seen darkness if you go into the caves. But there is another very interesting thing. There's a photosynthesis. There is this type of illumination that comes the deeper you go down in caves. There gets to be a natural light. They can't explain it. They say it's in the rock. They see fish that have lights on them that glow. They see albinos and everything else. But the deeper you go into the darker, it gets lighter. Now some say it's because of the molten magna core. There is no such thing as a molten magna core on any planet with the sun. Heard it from a fool. Hear it from a neurotic individual. That's why I can say it. The psychoticism that tell you it's a molten lava down there couldn't understand what they're saying. But I'm not going to get into all that either because there's so much more and enough is enough on one night. When you begin to go into the history of these serpent people, you find certain names pop out at you. Draco, and a constellation with the 18-car constellation, a contemporary one called Draco. It's very interesting again that you hear the word draconian. Draconian means again somebody who's dominant, aggressive, clandestine, holier than thou, thinks that they're better than you. Draconian type personality. The Egyptian pyramid at Giza has one of its oriented so-called air holes. This is what they call it, air shaft and light shaft. Directly at where Thurbin, one of the stars in the constellation of Draco, would shine through. And if you notice, the Egyptians, after the 18th dynasty, or leading up to the 18th dynasty, had a big obsession with 2 constellations, Sirius and Orion. They knew all the other constellations. By the way, for you astrologers, there's not 12 constellations. How many are there? 88, folks. This is why when you're dealing with astrology and dealing with only 12 constellations, you're leaving out 70, whatever. What's very interesting, again, is when you begin to see all this setup, you find that these different cultures worship different stars, some what they call the natal stars again, or the stars that were equatorial, then others again that you could see all year round. But they always had a great fear for Draco the dragon, and they also had a great respect for Sirius, supposedly the dog star. You remember the Tuaregs, the Silures, the other people down there that live in these kills. Malis, yes.
The Dogon.
Yes, Dogon people. And of course the phrase of that they're going to the dogs. The Dogons are going to the dogs. That's where our phrase comes from. Why? Because they say that they worship the dog stars, Sirius Major, Sirius Minor. And those 3 suns there, they got more than that, but they got 3 big ones. They always say binary. It's not a binary. It's A, B, and C stars, including Arcturus. But they have legends about the cetacean people coming here, teaching them, the water gods, that fought with the reptiles. The reptiles were destroying them. The water god cetacean stood against it. And the symbol has been left with the dolphins, supposed to be rulers of the sea, the passive ones, who are very psychic, by the way. You ever heard a dolphin beat to you? Sometimes they'll drive you out of your mind if you're psychic. Can't take their emanations. But the dolphins are beating themselves. The sperm whales are beating themselves. Nobody can understand why. Find out about, listen and do on your websites and stuff, and do your searches on what HAARP is doing. Find out about the Navy's project to send sound waves of high frequency through the oceans. Russia's state's doing the same thing. As they're messing with the heavens, they're messing with the depth. They're causing earthquakes in diverse places. They're driving the beautiful creatures of the sea mad. rather beats themselves and take that sound as their natural habitat is being destroyed. What do you think El Nino is? It's radioactive isotopes being bombarded on the ocean surface and causing eruptions. They know exactly what it is. They're changing the planet. They're altering the frequencies in you, in the planet, and anything else that they can. People who are in high places may not necessarily be what you think they are. There are movies that have come out to try and be wayshowers, harbingers of what may be coming and what may be on. One of the movies, They Live, you put on certain glasses and you saw what they were. Other movies, you see them shape-shifting, but you don't believe it. And it's coming out more and more on X-Files, more and more on all kinds of things, showing you capability of shape-shifting here. We think only in Laudaoism and under secret rites can this be done. Well, let's say that those secret rites are being practiced in very high places by very interesting individuals. And because of the fact that this is being taped, and I've already got on 2 limbs, I will not name those people to you right now, but I will say the highest placed persons that you can think of on this planet may either be part of that brotherhood or be one themselves. The advanced ones, draconians, can shapeshift. The advanced ones, draconians, can shapeshift. You may laugh. There are a lot of interesting people being taken off of this planet now in what we call death. And if you will check your own records, hospitals are full. Emergency wards are full, and they're getting fuller every time we get sprayed. Why are we being sprayed? Why are we being shot up with serums and inoculations? Why are we being killed off with wars, a new one breaking out now every 2 months, somewhere, and strife? Death is becoming, and carcasses is becoming, and morose things are becoming so acceptable that we can now look at a dead body on TV and say that's a dead body, let's move on, because they're killing people on every channel for some reason or another, either a movie or a news release. You're being conditioned. We have already been conditioned. Recently, Princess Diana was killed.
Assassinated.
On the 13th column, in the Tunnel of the Dragons, miles away from her set route, impregnated by another person with black blood, and she loved not just black people, but a lot of people. If you will read the history of the word Diana, you understand a lot, and about Queen Mother and everybody else. 33 of the presidents of the United States all had genetic bloodlines from 2 people. Tell me I can't find it. Well, I will find it. It's here somewhere. I won't waste your time now. At the end of it again. But they came from 2. I think it was Charlemagne and King Alfred. There were 2 of them that they had direct bloodlines to. There are many books that speak about them as being very different people, with very different proclivities, different looks, and 33 vertebrae. When you get an elongated 33 coccyx, you have a tail, or you had a tail. When you have vestigial remains of a tail. Not everybody here has the same internals. Not everybody here definitely has the same blood. In blood banks, you really don't know what blood you're getting. And that's why a lot of people are now being contaminated with reptile diseases, and they don't even know why. And you rush to get shots. The food that is in the cans will do everything but make you healthy. It will work on your pineal gland and make it deficient. It will work on your other glands. It will make you so full of chemicals that you become Kim Man, not biological man. Already they're working on what? Cyborg. They want to make you a machine man anyway, a machine woman anyway. They already are putting and engrafting artificial limbs, but not while you're still alive with a good one. Perfect army, they tell you, would be an army of mutant cyborgs. Army for who? Why does everybody have to have an army? Because nobody trusts anybody. But more than that, because when they tell you you need an army, because something is not going right, you believe them. They draft young men. They refuse old men admission into the army. What's an old man to them? 28, 29, and 30. As soon as you can begin to think, you're dangerous. Yes, young men, you can think, even though you may be just 16, 17, 18, and 19, but you don't think well. You don't have the wisdom yet unless you've been to a council of elders who have nurtured you that way and destroyed the family structure back with Dr. Spock. Don't hit them, don't curse at them, don't beat them up, don't tear them up. Let them hit you, beat you up, curse at you, and tear you up. That's the way it should be. For whom? I'm so glad my mother tore my little booty up so many times because my father left me when I was 8. And if I'd have been allowed to have my way, I would not be up here talking to you like I'm talking to you tonight.
That's right.
But I was so fearful of that big 18-foot tall mother of mine that I did right. Love came after beating me into respect when I knew it was wrong and I expected it.
That's right.
When a person hits me and taps me in evilness, it hurts. But when I know I'm wrong and I'm being chastised and I shouldn't have done it, I accept it. And I look upon it as what? Good therapy. You see the remains of the Spock generation out here now running your government and selling out each other away. If you love them, you will hit them. Now you hit them and you go to jail. They hit you and they go before a court of law and they're chastised. See what I'm saying again? When I say I'm neurotic, how can I not be? This is psychotic madness abounding on this planet. Then they ask you, what happened? None of this is by accident. Are you with you? Are you with me? None of this is by accident. All of this is planned. As you've probably heard in other lectures, so I'll just briefly remind you, the heads of all your major networks, of anything that you look at or listen to, the head of your armed forces, the head of your cabinet elected post, the head of your hospitals, AMA, FDA. Even the doctors got pissed off now, pardon the expression, and they're going to form a union. They supposedly had a union. The AMA in everybody's business. They're waking up. Not all doctors are bad, but they stay alive by the breath of the pharmaceutical industry. The Rockefellers control 60% of the Earth's pharmaceutical industry, and you have to really do some reading about the Rockefellers. The Bushes, including Prescott, control everything else. And the Illuminati controls them, and on down the line. If you read the book or heard about the book vote scam, you understand your vote doesn't mean a thing on the federal election. Because it's counted and tabulated in New Jersey by one person in a single room after it goes to the, what do they call it, the Catholic group, the nuns. Oh yeah, they got 2 nuns coming there. Then they got another religious organization comes in there, but the final tabulation is by one person in one room in New Jersey with a building scalloped with gargoyles. Yes. Every major city has some kind of symbolism if you only understood it. When you drive into the city town, you see on those posts still what you're running into if you have a metaphysical mind. And you understand who's representing who there. You already know what you can and cannot do and what you better flash and say quickly if you want to get justice. But if you don't, you go on through and say, aren't those crazy little symbols all around in there? Why do you think they have all, not only Masonic, because they overdo that, but Illuminati symbols up again? They got about 800 different societies here with different names, but they all come under about 12 branches. And they have symbols, and they let you know what those symbols are. You just were not taught the symbols. And many of them are serpent symbols and dragon symbols. I know why. Wonder why. Why is a pope get 2 vestiges? Why did Pope John II take office after they killed in 28 days of magnetic moon month, the first one that would have done you some good? Read back about the IG Farben salesman who sold gas, nerve gas, xenon gas to Auschwitz and Dachau. Find out who he was. Find out what position he holds now. We worship that we do not understand. Every time I see South American native people applauding and running into the streets when the Grand Vicar comes, the Vicar of Christ, I say, I have definitely no right. I'm so happy to be in the right. This is madness. They teach in their own history books in Montezuma, when Cortez and Pizarro and all the rest of the Inquisition fools, heinous hell-like people, came there and killed off their teachers, killed off their mother and father, burned their books, took them into servitude, and gave them Catholicism. What native mestizo ever knew about Catholicism? Portuguese, men of war. Let me not go to history lesson. Let's just put it back here to what I came to talk about and finish up with this one. The worship of serpents and the fear of serpents is inward to all humanites, hominids, mankind. They're back. The movie X-File gave you a scenario that is very interesting. How many saw the movie X-File? Not many. Okay. They took you up to either the Antarctic or Arctic, to deep glacial areas where they were doing scientific experiments that came about with shots being given to people and a form of bee that was released on the earth and corn that was fed to people. Of course, they used different synonyms, different acronyms. And when Scully down there had been bee stung and put into a catatonic state, she had been made part and parcel for the Dracons. For they showed that there, buried in capsules, time capsules, responding to vibration, were serpents and reptiles. And they were to be food of the gods. But who were the gods? Reptilian gods. In the teachings of the Summa Cum Laude and many of the people of Tibet, they will teach you of the encapsulation of giant dracons to come alive at the end and the turn of the millennium. Why did X-File bring out a way out theme like that, connecting it back to doctors and hospitals and professors and chemists and the CIA and everything else, and then ended that way? Only theirs ended with this big spaceship coming up and they're getting away. Let's hope that that's what happens. Let's hope that that's what's happening. The battle for Earth is on. They don't want melanated people to go out in the sunlight, to open up their pineal glands, to stop drinking and smoking and eating all the meats which lower the spirit vibration and kill the light of the consciousness of the pineal gland. To remember your dreams, sleep less at night, and do your work at night in your astral body, soul body, or whatever else, and come in contact with the higher gods who are there waiting to contact you and help you and teach you. They want you drugged out, misinformed, maladjusted, mind-controlled, implanted, and everything else. Obudu Seko Siku and his $5 million to destroy the lives of 2,000 Zairians with the AIDS virus, and then they say AIDS came from Africa. I hope so. They put it there. Art Bell show, you got Major Ed Damn, that's right, it came out. I can't stand it. Always coming up with his remote viewing. All black people can remote view if you can get your bodies together. That's a psychic gift. They have you going to white people for readings, like you buy melanin. I cannot understand it. Cannot understand it. Yes, they're good white people, I'm not saying that. But pineal gland melanism is the seat of your soul. If anybody should be a reader, it's got to be you. Now you don't want to touch that stuff. That's voodoo.
Yeah.
You do voodoo, we do, they do, but you getting done. Both sides.
That's right.
Microwave inside and shots outside. These movies, these television series, the papers are telling you what is happening. All you're going to hear about soon will be the sun. Watch certain dates. Write these down. August 11th, a very serious date coming up. What's going to happen then?
Grand Fifth Cross.
Grand Fifth Cross.
Solar
Eclipse. Full solar eclipse. And when that sun is blotted out for that 2 or 3 minutes, watch the sky in that area. See what you see. Don't guess what you see. Don't tell yourself you didn't see it. See what you see. Also, when that sun is again revealed, a bolt of energy will come out, and you're going to see computers and generators blowing like mad. They're already trying to shield them. Army's on red alert, blue alert, green alert, brown alert, and if they make another color, they'd alert it. For what they think may happen. The Illuminati and all of their followers are practicing rituals to be held on that day. They're trying to jam the ley lines around Earth. Those are magnetic lines of force which cross. Wherever you have 3 of them crossing, you have a power grid. They used to teach that. They don't teach that anymore. Energy can be transmuted up or down at those points. They call it vortexes. Some call it junction points. Vortexia is the real name for it. Ley lines is another one they give to Admiral Ley. It's not ley lines, it's vortexes. Where this happens a great deal is where there's going to be a lot of power, and already they plan on holding sacrifices on those meridians to the serpent gods. They plan on partying at the pyramid at Giza on December 31st. Well, they're going to party like mad. You wouldn't believe who's going to be at that party. You wouldn't believe who's been invited to that party. In fact, you just wouldn't believe. 9/9/99, September 9th, 99. Got another downloader. You got money in the bank, get it out. You're not going to be a apprentice to just because I said that. That's the only thing they'll get me. We got to talk. Yeah. In fact, what you ought to do is let me close this out nice so I can really get into some heavy stuff with these people. You won't sell it. All right. Now you got me. Well, I won't go too far as long as that's all. I've gone far enough, but I have protectors, but I don't want to just exacerbate their power. Hold on, I shouldn't put him on the spot like that, but I'll just have to watch my words and then we'll talk later.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got that machine on. The Eye of Horus is on there. Okay. Yeah. I can always come back and close it out. I'll close it out nicely. On September 9th, 1999, 9999, most of the digital computers, those that work with, again, the plane counts, again, would flash 2000 on the next count. Because of that, many of them will begin to fail. Because of the ability of those who have programmed them to understand that this may be coming about, they will simply stop using that computer, which means, again, the first ones that they will hit will be the ones that normally carry the banking system, normally carry the actuary system, because they can bring them up again. The fear will be there, but then you'll say, well, they corrected it, consequently I can live with this, so you'll go along with it. It'll just be one of the signs that there might be something wrong with the binary system there. Also, as our sun begins to put out more and more energy, it's a possibility that many people will get radiated, that those people who do get radiated could come up with all kind of melanomas and carcinomas and all kind of skin diseases and even brain embolisms. And because of this, they will be trying to tell people to stay indoors during, again, the August 11th eclipse. I'll tell them also that when they're indoors, again, do not face at the sun, to drink lots of cool water, and to, again, if you look at it, look at a carbon placement, they tell you to look at the reverse wall or something like that, till it's over with again. There's talk again about a lot of solar prominences and things happening on our Earth, and well, this may be. But in the past, every time there has been solar prominences and comets, it only meant that there was a great change coming about. Comets herald change. Not necessarily bad change, not necessarily good change, but change. And it's my philosophy that if we could begin to cleanse our bodies, to not be so fearful, to begin to go within and understand that all is okay, if we are okay, we might be able to survive this. Either way, it is my intention to state to you what I am doing is to buy up things that I think can help me. Health products before they take them off the market. They took off things like B15. What did they take off? They took off, can't think of some of the stuff, like Chaparral, all kind of different things. So the things that you can now get at a price, get key. Your food sources, mainly water. This is why I suggest KO7 and other water additives, so that you again may be able to help yourself at a time of panic and Y2K. Y2K may not be inevitable, but Y2K will definitely come about because they want it to come about. To me, it's a time for change. It's a time, again, for people with consciousness and goodwill to do better, and I hope that this lecture tonight will make so again. Thank you very much. Okay, are those for questions and comments now? Do they have to have a mic in order to speak the question? It picks up. Just speak loudly again. I don't know where to begin. I think I saw this brother's hand before, and then I saw this sister here. Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment. I don't know whether people remember, but I think the year before Dolly the sheep was cloned, one of the greatest symbols in the entire history of Native Americans, a white buffalo was born. Everybody remember that? They showed the white buffalo and said that that was, I mean, all of the television stations were saying how highly significant that was, and they had some still real looking Native Americans with this white buffalo, and they were extremely humble and saying it's a sign that something much greater is coming. A new age has definitely come into existence.
I have a question. Back to the dates. Also, I've heard that around July is something that's going to take place which will affect the airplanes. And that someone was saying that if you were going to do any flying, that you should make sure that you have all your travel plans and be through the flying until after July, because this is when that computer system was going to go KY.
There might be systems that might have some effect in the month of July. One of the things that, of course, will happen in July is this big sun. I have to look up the word for it. It already has grown in prominence. It's a sun that supposedly is in another galaxy that is becoming brighter than some of the brightest stars before, and is sending forth energy waves, patterns. There are also a lot of things that are going on underground by which a lot of this stuff may be speeded up. People are hearing humming sounds from under the ground. Birds and things are, as they state, leaving the oceans and leaving the forests and everything like this because of vibrations underground. Most of these vibrations underground will work on the frequency of electrical apparatus. They're having to emphasize the amperages and the wattages of everything electrical because the new magnetic energy is causing them to die out. So they have to boost frequencies. At the peak pitch, when it's going to get so hot here in July, they'll be boosting all this amperage when a magnetic wave hits, which is going to probably knock out a lot of computers. And what's also happening now, there are pilots that are flying, even at night, that are getting sunburns. There are people who are flying at a certain altitude, flying through microwave emissions, that are getting suntans. People that normally could not tan, and burns, because something is happening for some reason at certain layers of our Earth's atmosphere. Possibly some of this spraying and so may be doing that, especially if they're saying metal particles are being laid out, which now reflect back radiation, and now we're flying through radiation. The hulls of those planes may become magnetic. That would be a blessing. But if they're penetrated, now you're flying through radioactive metals. So a lot of things could happen into it.
Well, you just struck on something. A few weeks ago, I was coming from Kansas City, and I was boarding the plane in Chicago on the way to Detroit. Now, to me, it just seemed rather stupid. It was about 90 degrees there, and it's about 90 degrees here. We're on the plane, but we're getting ready to taxi away from the door, and all of a sudden, they just bring everything to a sudden halt. So they started walking back and forth, so I wonder what the devil is going on. I said, well, at least I'm on the ground. So later on, they come to tell us that because of the heat and the humidity, they had put too much fuel in the airplane. And with the fuel on the airplane and the pressure and the heat and the humidity, the extra plane, if they had not removed most of their gas, that oil, the fuel from the plane, there's a possibility when we got to Detroit, their plane would have exploded.
Well, that's the answer that they gave you, and if they admit something like that, they must be worried. But more and more, as they say, flights are one of the prophecies, not of Nostradamus, but of some of the metaphysical areas, Mother Shipton, St. Odelio, Moscus, so on again like that. I think even Edgar Casey. It stated that there would be a time when people would not be able to fly. A lot of people thought that meant, well, they couldn't fly with the wings of angels and this kind of thing. It merely meant that there'd be a depth ceiling placed on Earth. Not so much a depth ceiling, but there'd be a layer of energy by which planes using propulsion we now use could not fly through it. Also, understand something else. Most of the electronic gadgets that the armed forces of the world have, most, because they're rapidly trying to deploy and change it, work by electricity. Electricity cannot work in a magnetic field. The missiles may rise out of the silo if the electrical circuits hit right. If not, they're going to have to pull them up by hand. They may fire if the electrical circuits hit right. If not, they're going to have to blow them off with their mouths. You follow what I'm saying? One of the best things that might be able to happen is if electricity is made to fail at a certain time. You can't detonate, ignite, or fly on electricity if you're in a strong magnetic field. Magnetic field will also act then as a cloaking device. So, since everything we fly in is using electricity and computers,
my first question is about, you said to change your diet. We need to change our diet. Do we need to look into becoming total vegans at this point, or is it not eat? You know, some people say you can eat chicken or fish. Some people say just vegetables and grains. What has your research shown?
well, a lot of people went into carbohydrate diets and seeds and stuff like this, and they dry out. A lot of people are eating vegetables and they may be poisoned. A lot of people are eating meat, we know they're poisoned. A lot of people are doing a lot of things. I think it more or less depends on not gorging yourself and what kind of consciousness you have when you take it. Most of the time, people already have their built-in computer, their built-in soul, which will tell you what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. We don't listen. And we like sweet things, and we like ugly things, and we like this thing, but we know we're not supposed to do it. Most of the time, if you get back to obeying what your first thoughts are, that magnetic thought, instead of arguing with it, you'll do the right thing. And in most cases, it will even tell you what's good to eat and what's not to eat. You may have a batch of Gala apples that comes out that is good. You may have one delicious apple, a Fuji apple in there that is bad. Your body and mind can sense that, okay? Anytime you eat large amounts of anything, it's like on Turkey Bird Day and Thanksgiving, you know good and well you can't move. You go on a couch somewhere and you lay it back because the food is eating you. You're not getting any life force from the food. It tastes good, it is good, but not good for you. Most people are now talking about raw things, things that have life force. Life begets life. Juices would be the easiest way to go, but you have to prepare them. to go in, as I already explained to you what they've done to the produce section. Yes, you can pick through. Yes, you can rinse them in the KO7. Yes, you can get that life force from before they dissipate. But how many people are actually going to do that? If you eat green leafy vegetables, green lettuce and some good carrots and some beets and things like this, you'll see, you feel energy. You won't feel full. But if you cross it with the white bread and the meat, you will start feeling full. And the little spirit light in your eyes will go out. Your eyes get real dull. Spirit light's gone. By the way, too, they say that animals don't have souls. There are more animals with bigger souls and better souls than people on this planet at this particular time. You look into a cat's eye, a dog's eye, they glow. That's a soul, okay? That's looking back at you. And they're very psychic. I keep telling you, I wanted to throw this in too. This is a good time to insert it. They talk about dumb as dogs and dumb animals. Have you ever seen dogs sit around the table and start barking at each other? And then bite each other. When dogs are left alone and they trust each other, they say nothing. And then they all act in concert and do the same thing. You see them facing each other, looking right into each other's eyes. Sometimes you see them turn the back of their head. When they're working on you, they come up and look you right in the eye if they respect you. And then the mailman comes to your front door, they bark, you didn't even hear it. The truck's a block away, they hear it coming. Their master and mistress is coming home, they run to greet them. They're not dumb, they just use a different wavelength. Okay? So I'm just saying, even the creatures will now show you who you are.
One last question. You were saying that when people go into the catacomb, you know, if you go into the tunnels of the world, the deeper you get, the lighter it gets. Is that, I've heard something about there's an internal sun as well as the one we think we see outside. Does that have a reason to do with the light coming from the inside of the earth?
My belief is that there is an inner sun. And that all planets around the big sun have to have inner suns in order to adjust to it. They can't have magna and multi. There must be an inner sun there. And that all planets like Earth in our solar system around the sun have little suns inside that make contact with it. That's why they can stay in orbit around the sun. So, again, but understand too, based on what we talked about a little bit about the elders and their ability to create tunnels and live inside, they put in phosphorescence into the rock as their machines melted it. And these rocks have little crystals in it. And when certain energies come about, these rocks glow. When certain people with certain vibrations come by, the lights will come on. Listen to that. As in the paws of the Sphinx, as in the Pharaoh's pyramid, as in the underworld. If you are bright vibration, you will see light.
Thank you.
When you were speaking of Charlemagne and King Alfred, because they were who they were and what happened because of them, is that why after the 67 riots, they cleared all the books of King Alfred's playing off the shelf? They took them from the United States and they took them from Canada. It's very hard to find that book. And I've searched ever since 67 for King Alfred's plan. Then I have one other.
They had what was called Senate Bill and Guided Proposal. I forget what it was. There was another thing that replaced King Alfred's plan. It was by a senator, and well, I guess if I don't think about it, it'll come back later. But it set up martial law and set up later on Rex 84, Rex 84, 7, and the new Rex program now that's there, the new Rex.
FEMA.
And interestingly, they call it Rex too.
Okay.
King Alfred was from the book, The Spook That Sat by the Door.
Oh.
The actual thing that they put through, the Senator McCarran's Act.
Arizona, McCarran and Nixon.
Yeah, that's where they had that tied up Congress of Dracons. All right.
McCarran
They had, it's the McCarran Act.
Right.
Yeah, that's, I think, what it was, the McCarran
Yes, it
Act.
was McCarran.
And that's when they actually implemented King Alfred's book. That was the book, that was not what it's called the McCarran Act. And then after that, they also put in Rex 84. Rex 84 takes away every Rex.
Wow.
It's gone, and it's already in force. That's why they want NATO and not the United States Armed Services anymore. Because we don't even have a standing army anymore. It's all under the universal world power.
You mentioned the Anunnaki, and I was wondering, is there any books that you can recommend that speak to their origin of the Anunnaki, and were they pre-Egyptian era? Would they be in the time of the Atlantean era, or were they pre-Atlantean and pre-Sumerian?
The
Anunnaki.
If we're going by Zechariah Sitchin's and his Sumerian codex, his interpretation of the Sumerian writings, then they're almost everything. If we're talking about the land of Sumer, we're talking about obviously Mesopotamia 1, and the Sumerian codex is in the text. So you're talking now 250, 300, 350,000 years ago. That's no time on this planet. If you're talking about Lemuria, now you're talking about 250 million, maybe 300 million years ago, when the Lemurians were here, and Lemuria was, the place of the Moors, the real Moors. Okay. If you're talking about before that, you're talking about places like, really stretching my brain tonight. I can't think of the name of it right now. It'll probably come back too, where they actually fought a battle with the people that came in from Nibiru and for the four winds, where they came in with this new planet that knocked the top off of Mars and all this kind of stuff. Now you're getting back to a whole different people, and these people did not even have bodies. These people were able to make bodies, and they walked in any body that they wanted to. They were time travelers. Yeah, the elders were called the light bringers because they could they could bend light. That's where you got your cross from. Four great primary forces form a cross. They could bend dimensions. That's why the cross was their symbol, not the Christian symbol, but that was their first symbol. Four great primary forces. They could bend light, therefore any place where there was light, they could make something out of it that they wanted to. These were true, what I call gods. These were mental creatures. So when you're talking about the Lemurians, you're talking about the people that took over physical embodiment. When you're talking about later on Morocco and Mauritania and the Moors that came over there with algebra and all the astronomics, they were the people that had the old books from the old gods and still had them living in their souls. And like this.
Do you know any books or small bibliography that speaks to the Anunnaki?
Well, any that speak directly from the Anunnaki, no, because I understand there are some books in Tibet. There's some books in some of the scrolls. If they didn't have books, they had scrolls and pictures amongst the Dogons. They don't share too well unless they know you. Here, really, some of the works of Zechariah Sitchin are good. Some of the books of Malachi Z. York are good. They all speak about the same principle of the Anunnaki. Okay. It merely means those that came from the sky, those that fell from the sky, Anunnaki. What's also interesting again though, the Japanese and Chinese Oriental people refer to the Naki man. The Naki man is a black man. Say Naki man, the mountain yards of Vietnam, Naki man. That means that's a short term of saying Naki, Anunnaki, descendants of the Anunnaki. But the black men didn't know who he was, so when they called him Naki man, they thought they were calling him Monkey man and something else, and that was it. But yeah, the Naki is a good key for those who came from the sky, the gods that came from the sky. Okay.
We were talking about things getting into the Earth's atmosphere and causing damage. Just a comment, just the other night, brought something to my mind. Just the other night, I was seeing in the news, they had these people out down in Florida who were taking down whatever they
I can't hear you too well.
When you're talking about things getting into the Earth's atmosphere, on CNN News the other night, they were talking about they had this great fear about there was going to be an object that will come into Earth's atmosphere and strike some of the satellites that they have out there that the Russians put out there that's going to cause a chain reaction, and a lot of the satellite debris were going to enter into the Earth's atmosphere and strike the Earth. They were worried about that. So when you mentioned about the objects, it took me back to CNN News the other night. They were talking about this big chain reaction of all the junk satellites they have out there, and they're looking for this to happen. So that was a comment that made me think of, just I think Thursday night on CNN.
Okay? Well, they're making you become fearful of everything coming from the sky. Boloids, asteroids, meteors, comets, meteor showers. And if you remember, when Hale-Bopp was around here last year, there was even big talk that there was a companion with Hale-Bopp. And there was a big argument about whether it wasn't, yes there was, no there wasn't, and so on down the line. And then finally they said it went on off. Well, it never went anywhere. Hale-Bopp is still around on the outside of the solar system. They're not talking about it. Now here comes another one. Metaphysics states that comets are avalanches. Avalanche is a vehicle of the gods. I think we're being observed very closely.
I do too, I think
Okay, now you.
Thanks a lot, brother. First of all, on the planet Jupiter, what's thought to be the red spot that revolves around the planet constantly? Is there any kind of theory on what's happening, what kind of motion, what it could possibly be?
I'm not sure I heard you said Jupiter.
Yeah, first of all, I think,
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
but on the planet Jupiter, the red spot, that cycle, the eye that seems to travel, is there any theory or anything concrete that can come out of what's that point? What is it?
I've heard all kind of theories. I've heard all kind of theories. One said it's an orbiting satellite above Jupiter, put there by some intelligent race to monitor. Some say that most of the satellites around Jupiter are human-made satellites, including Titan, Europa, all this kind of thing. Others say that Jupiter is a second sun that just has not combusted yet. It has not taken on a higher light, and these are only planets around it, and that will be separated from it at one time. It will become a solar system of its own. I mean, they have a lot of thoughts. The Jason scholars in Majestic 12 actually fired a nuclear-tipped rocket to going to blow Titan out of existence. They actually launched the thing, I think it was in 92, 93, and expected it to hit. So it shows you the pomposity there, and these people are ready to take on a planet, so they think they're gods. I'm not sure which of those might hold true, so I can't only give you the theories.
Do you know anything about theory that whites are trying to collect our urine in all kinds of ways, like when you go to the doctor and for no apparent reason related to the reason you went to the doctor, they ask you to leave urine, and that is the melanin in our urine that they are using to save them.
I don't know about urine, I don't know about blood. I do know that in that book again, another book about urine therapy, and I think that's about the Elixir of the Gods or the Waters of Life, that was the one there, where they talk about urine therapy, which urine does what, and other things. Again, I do know one of the old desert people, that's one of their ways of staying alive in the desert is making their own urine. Because it causes the body to secrete more fluids, cleans out the organs, demands less food, and you don't lose as much water because of the saline content with it. So urine has been used as a means of healing for many things. But to do that, the body must be in a purified state. And this is the whole point. The first urine of a day supposedly is very foul. Second urine may be good, and for that point on, you can use it for various things. It's almost like a chem lab. And in fact, by urinalysis, just like they use now iridology and hair analysis, urinalysis is still one of the best ones because every gland in the body dumps its poison to the urinary tract, if it's hitting on it right. One of the things these shots do is to inhibit the urinary tract, dry out the colon, and cause you to have all kind of problems with cancers and stuff.
I have a question. You had mentioned earlier about the underground tunnels, and you gave 4 states: Arizona, Utah, Mexico, and I missed the other
Colorado.
state. Colorado.
And try to stay away from Dulce, New Mexico, and any parts of northern New Mexico, okay? It's not a good place. But yeah, this humming sound is growing more and more stronger around our planet, especially in the United States. And a lot of that, by the way, is coming from tunnel boring machines created by Beckno Corporation, the Serpent. A very interesting company building a lot of things around on this planet then too. And they have machines that can dig 16, 15 miles and a half a day of solid rock, we call it, Beckno Corporation. Okay. Well.
Yeah, you said creatures beneath the earth, you said they wanted the electricity to stay here. Or they don't want it. What
They want electricity.
They want electricity.
and the peoples on top of the earth want electricity, because that's their means for power, technology, and control, electricity.
Are all whites part of the Nagas?
Part of what?
The Nagas.
No, I don't think so. Now, the ability of the skin not to tan means a non-active pineal gland or a not so active pineal gland. Most people from Europe have black blood anyway. And even some Scandinavians can get freckles. Freckles shows the body trying to utilize melanin. Okay? So I will not say all white anything. There are some souls that are paying heavy karma, and oh wow, I'm about to really say something here rough.
Say it, God. Go for it.
Okay, let's just say this again. I am a believer in reincarnation as the time setting is for this planet now. I believe in multidimensional existences. When the time segment speeds up, it has not sped up here, it's speeding up. Consequently, being a hypnotist, I have hypnotized people that didn't know they could speak any other language and spoke it fluently. I've had people think they can't play an instrument, sing and hit notes that they could never normally do. Act like they were other places and talk about places I don't know about. When I go checking them out, it's there. So I think half the time we don't realize on this planet how many times our soul has had incarnations based on what we've done. They always talk about karma. They don't talk about dharma. Karma is physical reactions and justice done by physical laws. Dharma is when you wake up and act with wisdom, you go in a different vibration, a new set of laws applies. I think our dharmic program and our karmic program is made up to live in many bodies on this earth. Okay, yes.
Yeah, how many helixes do the creatures beneath the earth have?
How many what?
How many helixes?
Helixes?
Yeah.
Ooh, that I don't know. Let's see. There's so many. Let's just say with the so-called dracons, which are the flying reptiles, they're supposed to have a helix pattern that's different from dinoids and they're more advanced than some of the non-flying. How many helixes, I do not know. But their life cycle can be 200 or 300 years. So whatever helixes they have, they must be full of chromosomes and they must be able to work them. At the same time, they also don't like a lot of light, which means that their pineal gland, their soul gland isn't working, so whoever helixes is still limited. None was granted the 12 helixes but the gods. And we're now talking about what we would call gods, very advanced beings. If you can get 4 or 5 working, you're a miracle worker. We're coming into United 3, 4, and 5 probably now. This year, possibly some people will begin to be able to do that. So I can't answer that because I really don't know. Understand also they're down there, they have supposedly what they call the oranges. They've got what they call the grays or the BAFF. They've got insectoids. I mean, you can go on for a lot on this planet. You had about 96 over here over the last 20 years. We're kind of washed out here. See, to believe that all that's in the heavens, all that's in the cosmos, all that's in the constellations, all that's in the solar system, all is for Earth when people finally wake up, is to be ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Planets are for life. Suns support the life, and whoever has to learn, learns. So I think a lot of them have come here because Earth is a special place. That's the only thing we didn't cover tonight, but you're going to have to bring me back for another lecture about what Earth is supposed to be. But toward that end, I think I'm not really sure how many helixes they have. I can't really answer that. It's a good question, though. I'm going to do some more research.
Speaking about reincarnation, I was here because we reincarnated. Everything that you talked about, we're able to change the situation. We're able to counterbalance everything that you talked about. We're able to, whatever you put out there, we can take on a thought and change the whole vibration of that situation. So anything that you say don't fear, anything that's supposed to happen, it don't have to happen. Everything happens because the consciousness is at a certain state. And once you expand the level of that consciousness, what's supposed to happen cannot happen because you don't rose above it. So we can change everything that's in the making to be made manifest. We can change it and bring in a whole reality of what's supposed to be.
Sounds good to me. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay.
One comment, it's really in the form of an announcement. I have herbs, and a particular herb called thuja. If you're interested in cleansing your body from the vaccinations that you received over your lifetime, my name is Dina, number's 927-6061. 927-6061.
I have a question, Ron. I hope you can answer this one. Why is DC, District of Columbia?
Louder, please.
Why?
So now,
Oh, I'm sorry. Why is Washington DC? Why is District of Columbia Columbia? Why not another country, or why Columbia? And why is it that DC is not a portion of the United States? It's not a state, but they control and rule the rest of it.
Well, if you go back to the constitutional fathers and founders, and Columbus and Columbia and all the rest of the thing, and the founding father Columbus again, and the Portuguese, the District of Columbia itself is what, 13 little block areas, a little district, and that was what, this is why they talk about sovereignty, this is why Empress Bertice, the Dugumande tribe, has asked for purchase in land that was owned by the original Moors, not the Moors, but the Moors, and this kind of thing. It gets back again that these people came over here with the Illuminati. They were some that were set to control these mercenaries, these indebted servants, because they had to be given. So they gave them some of their best minds, and the Illuminati they brought them to a new land of purification. See, the earth, a lot of things that we haven't talked about the United States, how it was formed, the old names for the United States and all these things, why they have the so-called Great Lakes here, all 5 of them and all this kind of thing. This was a special land too at one time. It's been renamed, we've lost conscious of that. So this was a way of saying they had returned, they were here to make amends, and this district that was owned by the Dugumandes, who were the worship and the inner earth people, was set aside to rule the other lands that would be built around them. That's where it was formed. The rest of these things are false lands. And as you see now, the laws that apply there don't apply as soon as you step away from that. Many people claiming sovereignty that, well, that they go against certain law enforcement agencies here in the United States claim that because they understand. If you understand that, your soul's supposed to be illumined. If you're illumined and they do injustice to you, on the other side, injustice will be done to them. And they understand magic, and consequently, they usually release you from that. But that was why certain laws were set up at one time that don't have to apply on this. Universal law always exceeds man and human law. And they understood this. That's why they put it on the back. But then, like I say, they got greedy, needy, and bleeding. That's just the way it goes, you know. Okay, folks. Okay. All right.
Just a quick comment. I have shower filters. I know we drink a lot of bottled water, but y'all know about the chlorine and the fluoride in the water, and you do so much damage every time you take a bath or a shower. If you are interested in the shower filter, you can reach me at 507-0187. That's 507. Thanks, Kosivi. Kosivi, K-O-S-S-I-V is a Victor I. That's 507-0187.
Okay, you have a filter unit that takes out chlorine and fluoride, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Chlorine and chlorine?
Right, you put it at the point of use on the pipe. And it's a 2-stage filter. And so you get your shower water, where you can take the shower cap off and run your bath. And you get filtered water every time you take a shower. And right at the point of use, you don't have to buy like a real big system. You just get one right at the point of use.
Just in passing, without giving away all the secrets, one of the things, charcoal,
Yeah.
you use reverse osmosis,
Backwash? Yeah.
reversible and charcoal. Okay, folks, it has been indeed my pleasure. I want to thank you very much for sitting through with me all this time. Let me, in closing, state to you, I am the director of the Meta Center in Chicago. I have some cards, I have some literature. We have 140 different products. If you will contact us there for some of our products, I'd be much obliged. Also, diodes are one of your best protectors you can get right now from radiation. All right? We have many kinds of those. Hopefully we'll hear from you again. Greater bless you. Thank you very much. And again, hope I see you soon.